Welcome back, everybody, to the Mind of Man podcast. This is episode 13, I think. Lucky number 13.
Here we are.
With Andy Lewis, right?
Yeah, Andy Lewis.
Lewis from Norse Fitness. Appreciate you joining me, brother.
Absolutely. I'm stoked on it.
So, we'll talk about a few different things. First off, before we jump into any crazy in-depth topics, why don't you give folks an idea of like who you are, what you're all about, and all that good stuff.
Right. So like you said, my name is Andy Lewis. I own Norse Fitness. It's like an online clothing and fitness accessory brand. I started that back in 2015 when I was about 25. And then I also own Norse Compound Gym in Concord. So Norse Compound is just kind of like our HQ gym. You know what I mean? It's exactly what the name describes. It's the compound for the brand. But that's like a strongman, powerlifting, just really anyone that doesn't want to go to a fucking commercial gym and deal with like the Planet Fitness or Gold's Gym bullshit. They go to Norse, So I opened that back in 2017. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. If it's not business, I'm focusing on my kid, and that's my life, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you got enough to keep you busy. That's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
So what, I got a few questions. So, first thing I'll tell you is like when I moved to this area, I remember, kind of just trying to get a feel for the fitness scene, like what's around and everything. And I remember like anytime I'd see like some fucking savage, like ripping 700 off the floor or whatever, it was always up at your gym.
Yeah.
And so like, it's a really cool, like, I guess you would say hardcore gym, right? Like,
yeah, I definitely,
a lot of fucking strong dudes.
Oh yeah, man. We're very fortunate. We have honestly like some of the strongest people in North Carolina go to that gym. And it's not because they just happen to live around us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the atmosphere, when I started Norse Compound, it was definitely like, we're going to be fucking aggressive. The original like marketing video I had was pretty over the top. It looked like I was just some fucking dude that just got out of prison, just shooting the shit, And I hit it pretty aggressively. But as you're probably aware of, we maxed out, there's like 20 hardcore lifters in Concord, North Carolina, and I was like, well, fuck, this isn't going to pay the bills. So I kind of dumbed it down, or not dumbed it down, but I dulled it down to a point where we weren't as aggressive, but it was also like, this is different than anything else in this area. Sure. So, we have heavy music, heavy metal playing all the time, black metal, death metal, stuff like that. And then you go in there and you got a bunch of bald dudes with beards and covered in tattoos, or just chicks in general that are lifting 500-600 pounds, stuff like that. But then, like I said earlier, you also have like the 55-year-old that just wants to get in better shape. Cool. And, it's a really interesting mixture of people in there. It started off just your more hardcore aggressive. But then over time, man, it's just, we're known for that. It's like, okay, if you don't want to deal with this bullshit, come to Norse. And then the community, and that's really what I say would separate Norse, the brand in general, but especially that gym, is it's a community, man. Like, we have cookouts where everyone comes out, we hang out, and everyone knows each other by name. Everyone's in there to help each other. And that's what I try to tell people when they sign up. I was like, the main thing here is it's a community. And I know it's a little bit intimidating because you walk in and you see, like you said, people.
You with fucking head tats.
Yeah. I'm the dude fucking signing you up. Or I don't anymore, but back in the day, before I started actually delegating. But I was like, I know it's intimidating, but you will never feel more at home anywhere else. And the people that actually give it a shot, that's exactly what they say. We have like 100 reviews on Google, and they all say that. And also, when I started the place, I was like, people are either going to love this place or they're going to hate it. I wasn't trying to cater to anybody. I was just like, this is what we're about. And if that's for you, cool. If not, I don't give a fuck. Right. You go somewhere else. That's fine.
Yeah. What did it start for you as the brand or the gym?
So the brand, actually.
Okay.
I started the brand back in 2015, 2016. I was in a hardcore band, really, dude, from the time I was 14 up until I was 25. And as soon as I graduated high school, I started touring. That was my main priority. It's always what I wanted to do. I started booking hardcore shows when I was 14.
Did you play an instrument or sing? Or
I sang in that band. Yeah.
Nice.
So, and that was an outlet for me as well.
Do you still do that?
No, I wish. No. But it's just...
Is that music available on the web anywhere?
Yeah, it's called Denouncer. It's really shitty hardcore. But if you're into that kind of stuff...
Do you play it in the gym?
No, never. We had it on Spotify, or I was playing Spotify music once, just the radio station.
Yeah.
And it actually came on, and I like fucking sprinted in there. I was like, I don't want to... Nope, we're turning that off.
That's funny, dude.
Yeah, it was cool, but it was it was destructive, man. You know, like I said, I graduated.
Lifestyle.
Yeah, man, I graduated high school and I was like, this is what I want to do. And I got some people together because I grew up in the hardcore scene. I knew everybody. I was like, all right, well, I formed a band and I was like, this is what we're going to be about. This is what we're going to do. I want to tour. So if you don't want to do that, you know, this isn't going to be the band for you. But we got a good group together.
Kind of like the same approach to your gym. Like if you don't,
that's it, dude.
Like
yeah.
It,
like I'm not here to fucking cater to people. Like I only want to surround myself with like-minded individuals.
That's a liberating way to live your life.
It's the only way, man. Like why would you want to cater to other people? A lot of people don't though. Well, it's because they're so worried about what other people think.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, so I was touring and stuff and that was great. I toured all of North America, Canada. We even went to Puerto Rico and
no shit.
Yeah, it was awesome. But also, man, it was I was suppressing emotion. So I grew up in Panama City and I hated that fucking place.
Yeah.
I still do. It's just, you know, it's nightclub culture, bar culture. The only job you can get is either a server or a bartender or a cook.
Yeah.
And you work at these restaurants or whatever, and then you get off and you go to another fucking place and spend all your money there because you hate your life and you just want to get drunk after you get off work. And it's a repeat cycle.
Yeah. And
very quickly I realized that this is not my thing. You know, I tried going
to get looped into that for a long time.
But luckily for me, man, I fucking hated it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where Norse started actually. So, you know, I was touring and stuff and I've always wanted to work out. Like I've always wanted to get involved in fitness. I just didn't have any guidance. So I'd get started. I'd either hurt myself or just didn't know what to do. But when I was touring, you know, I was drinking every night. I was living in a van, sleeping on random people's floors. And it was fun, but...
Did you guys fuck with... How old were you again when you were touring?
I started when I was 18.
So you guys fuck with hard drugs too?
No, I didn't do any of that. It's funny, I never fucked with really any of that. I tried coke once, but it was after I graduated. So while I was in the band, you know, it'd get offered to me. And I was like, no, I don't want to touch that. Which you think I would have fucked with it then.
Sure.
But it was, I already had my own issues I had to deal with, man. Like I've always dealt with depression and anger issues and all this stuff. And the band was an outlet for that. But at the same time, every night I was replaying the worst parts of my life because the lyrics of these songs was about the shit I've been dealing with my entire life. So every fucking night I was pouring my heart out, giving it your all. You know, there's YouTube videos of me like slamming my head on stage. And like I had like just a blueprint right here or like a print of the microphone, the little squares on them, you know, that was my head all the time. So I'd sit there and just bash my head open and stuff. And it was an outlet for me. But at the same time, I was replaying this shit. And it got to the point, man, when I was about 24 at this point, where I'd get off stage and I would just have to walk away for like 30 minutes. So usually you get off stage, you go to the merch table. That way you can sell stuff and talk to people. I was not in the right state of mind where I could do that anymore.
Wow.
Where I would walk away. And I remember I was in Houston, Texas. No, Dallas. I was in Dallas, Texas. And I walked out, dude. And I remember sitting down and I just started crying, man. Like I emotionally just couldn't take it anymore. And I was like, I've got to stop drinking. I've got to stop living this lifestyle. So I started working out on tour, but it was hard, man, you know. And finally, it just kind of like, I was like, this is a priority now. And the band, it was like, I was having to duct tape it together. There was constantly members leaving and going. And I was like, it's not worth it anymore. You know, I'm not really.
So were you kind of the leader of the band?
Yeah, for sure. So I was booking the tours. You know, I was also handling the merchandise, which that was all a blessing in disguise because I learned how to do that for Norse.
Right.
So, you know, I'm at the end of my rope mentally and honestly on the verge of suicide at the age of 24. And I was like, I need to change. So I just started working out. I started running. I found a gym. I just started like just becoming obsessed with nutrition and working out, you know, and I started reading Starting Strength. But then I really think the resource that helped me the most was Jim Wendler's 531.
Yeah.
I read that and everything started to click for me. And like I said, then all of a sudden working out started to be the outlet and the priority. And the band thing just wasn't appealing to me anymore. And also I remember I was going to shows and I started not recognizing anyone anymore. And I was like, I'm the fucking old creepy dude hanging out at the hardcore show now, you know? Yeah. But like I said, you know, I started working out, but at the same time, I'm in Panama City, Florida, and everyone there are just jerk-offs, dude. They suck, man. They're just a bunch of
Shout out Panama City, Florida.
But like, you know, I'd go into the gym and people were just no one actually gave a shit about getting better. They were just like, I just want to catch a quick pump and then go to the bar. Like I said, that was the culture down there.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't want to relate to you guys. I don't want to be a part of this. Mm-hmm. And I remember trying to find like clothing and stuff online. I just couldn't find anything that didn't look fucking dumb to me. So
any kind of fitness related clothing that didn't
is usually awful. Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
Especially back then. When was that? Like
2015.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was like right around the time the whole Instagram thing started to take off. But back in those days, you didn't really have any brands. You know, I remember there was like Caffeine and Kilos and stuff like that. But that was really it, you know. And
Rob Bailey and
Bailey, you know, they do their thing as well.
Yeah.
Flagler
there wasn't
Fail.
a lot. Yeah.
No. And I was like, all right, well, I had this idea for a brand. And I knew my buddy Mike, who was also in a band, and he had a screen printing press, and I had an old recording interface. So I was like, hey, I don't need this anymore, but I have an idea for like a business or something. It wasn't even a business. I was like, I have an idea of something I want to start. So I'll trade you this recording interface for 25 tank tops. It was like a $600 recording interface, and those tank tops cost him like 10 fucking bucks to make, you know. But dude, either way, that's what I did. I didn't have the money for the tank tops, but I knew I wanted to do it. I knew that part of my life was done as far as music and stuff goes. So I traded the recording interface for those first 25 tank tops. And I just started pretty much like selling them at cost, dude. Like $9 or $10 or some shit like that.
And where were you selling them?
Out of the trunk of my car. I was just like, hey, like.
At the gym or?
The gym, at work. You know, like I worked at Bonefish as a server at the time.
Nice.
And I'd go out to my car and like, it was kind of like I was dealing drugs, but I wasn't. I was selling fucking t-shirts.
Tank top, bro.
You know, I'd have to look around, make sure no one's fucking. But.
I like the hustle though, dude.
That was it, man.
And a lot of people don't want to do shit like that.
But it wasn't even a hustle at the time. I didn't give a fuck about the money. I just wanted to create something. I wanted to create a group, man. You know, I wanted to go into the gym and people be like, they're not a part of this. You know, I wanted it to stand out. And I wanted that to kind of be, those tank tops were our battle flag, dude.
You're creating within the fitness realm kind of what metal is in the music
right
world.
And that's like I said, everything prior to that was a blessing. Like I knew how to do the whole merchandise thing because I did it for my band. And actually Mike, the guy that printed the first tank tops, I still work with them for everything. So they've been printing our stuff since the very beginning. But yeah, so like the metal scene and stuff definitely influenced everything, especially like the original designs and stuff like that. It definitely had like a kind of black metal feel to it.
What was the original tank top design?
So man, it was just this kind of like drawing of this dude just like kind of flexing, but it definitely looked Nordic, you know what I mean? And that was it.
So from the start, it was Norse
always Fitness. I never thought twice about it. I never brainstormed names or anything. It was just like, I'm starting this and it's going to be called Norse Fitness.
So why Norse? Where did that influence on you come from?
Growing up, I was always just fascinated by Scandinavian folklore, Germanic folklore, stuff like that, Odin, Thor. Like I was obsessed with it, man. And the part of that is because of my mom's ancestry. So her parents and everything are all from Norway. So it's like, like second, third generation, you know, and that was like, I've always been proud of my roots, you know, and that was where I gathered my strength. You know, when I started working out and I was pushing myself, I started thinking about Thor fighting Jormungandr and stuff like that. And I wanted to be strong like him. And that was my motivation. So when I started Norse, I was like, this is what it is. And plus that mentality, or what I associated with it, was the mentality. Like, this is what these people were thinking back in the day. And this is where my mind's at as well. So that's where the name came from. And like I said, I never thought twice about it. It was like, this is what's going to be called.
It's perfect. I love the brand. Like,
thank you, man.
Yeah. So 2015, you start out tank tops. You trade the recording interface for 25 tank tops.
I did that for like a year.
Pushing them out of your trunk at Bonefish.
Yeah, I would take that profit and get more tank tops made. I did that for about a year.
When did it strike you that this could actually be a legit
I was thing? I was up in Iowa, northern Iowa, and visiting my sister. And plus, that's where my mom and all that family's from. And my sister was at school. I didn't have a car. It was like 6 feet of snow outside. I was like, well, I don't really know what else to do. So I opened up Instagram, and I created the Norse Fitness Instagram. And that was it, dude. And I just started adding people. I went to like the Norse hashtag or some shit like that. And I just started adding people, and I posted that tank top. And people were like, where the fuck can I get this? I'm like, oh, cool. So I did that, and I got 2 more designs made. People showed interest in that. I got a web store set up, and they just started selling out, dude. I'd post it. They were gone. I was like, all right. And it just kept building from there. But since the very beginning, there's always been that mentality behind it. You know, the Norse mentality, which now it's actual, like, you know, we have the podcast and stuff, but it's always been a mental thing, with mental first, physical second, I guess, which is kind of different than a lot of fitness brands.
Yeah.
I think so, at least.
Yeah.
You know?
Which is interesting because if you ask most people who live any sort of strength training lifestyle, fitness lifestyle, they'll tell you the mental is the most important part.
But do they actually prioritize it?
Probably not.
No.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what are they actually doing besides posting fucking memes on Instagram about how they're a goddamn lion or whatever? You know, like, what are you actually doing to improve yourself? Like, what are you doing to become more disciplined?
Yeah. And I think are there any other brands that sort of are in the fitness space that are like Norse related, that whole world?
Whenever I started, as far as I'm aware, we were the first ones. And then, of course, there's been some other ones pop up. And at first, it was a little intimidating. You know, I was like, this is my fucking turf. You know, I'll kill you. But now I don't pay any attention to it. There's definitely a lot now because, you know, the whole fucking Viking fitness shit.
Well, that's what I was going to say is like it's kind of like it's become cool to be like, I'm a Viking, or like people like you obviously had a deep rooted fascination with the culture that stems back from your lineage.
Well, and it goes back prior to Vikings as well. And that's what people don't fucking get. Like I chose the word Norse because of Norse culture, Norse history. The Norse gods.
Right. You didn't choose Viking.
No.
You chose Norse.
And if you look at any of Norse's stuff, I don't ever use the word Viking.
Right.
I would honestly probably be a fucking millionaire if I took that route because that's what most people want to see. Yeah. But it's like at the end of the day, that's not what it's about.
That Viking show.
Right. You know, I started right around the time that show came out, but I didn't watch that show for the first like 3 years.
Really?
You know, but I definitely think that it was just timing because that show caught on. And then it was like, cool, I want to be a Viking. And then you got this fitness brand over here that has that imagery as well. And I think it kind of played with each other. But once again, I never used that as like I never monopolized on it or anything like that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I was telling you before we started recording, like you recently posted a little video up on the Norse Fitness page that I was like, I don't know how many times I watched it. I was cracking up, dude, because it's so true. Like, but the basic premise was like, you think you're a fucking Viking, but you're not. Like, you're not. Don't call yourself a Viking if you're, you know.
Vikings don't exist anymore.
Right. The closest thing is a soldier, right?
Right.
Like, so all these guys who, and yeah, you're a strong dude, you're a power lifter, you're a badass, whatever, cool, but like, you're not a Viking, right?
Yeah, just because you go into the fucking gym, you deadlift doesn't mean you're a goddamn Viking. Now, once again, like
having these men went to fucking war,
right? And I was actually thinking about it after I posted that video because a lot of people were like, thank you, but a lot of people were like, fuck you, I am a Viking. Some shit like that. But I was thinking about it afterwards. I'm like, you're fucking like you say that you respect these people and this culture and all this shit, but then you try to label yourself the same thing when you don't earn that fucking right. Like what you just said. These people went to war. They took over lands. They got into a fucking ship.
I mean, it's like the stolen valor thing, right? Where guys pretend to be SEALs and shit, and then you find out they never were in the Navy.
It's ridiculous. You know? It's very similar. So it's like it's very disrespectful to the actual people that did it. But imagine how big of balls you must have had for the first people in Northern Scandinavia to be like, hey, I'm going to get on this fucking wooden ship, and we're just going to sail. We're just going to sail. They had no idea that there was anything to the west. You know what I mean? They're in northeastern Europe, whatever, and they're like, we're going to go west and just see what the fuck's out there. As far as they were like aware of, there was nothing. Right. It was just an endless ocean. So to have the fucking balls to get into a wooden ship and be like, hey, we're going to sail this way and see if we can fucking find something, but we're probably going to die. But then still go do it. You cannot compare yourself to that just because you go to the gym and work out.
Just because you got an elite deadlift.
Yeah. You should be doing that anyways. You know what I mean? Like that's just what you do. You just work out because that's what you should be fucking doing.
Yeah, I loved that video though. I was like, finally somebody's saying it.
And it's finally. And it's funny that I say it because I own a brand that is kind of based around it.
Well, you were the perfect guy to say it, though,
right?
In a way, right? Because if I said it, they'd be like, "Who's this fucking asshole talking about like this?" But and it's funny because I have a mohawk and a beard and all this shit, and I swear to God, it never crossed my mind that like I'm gonna look like a Viking, but like. Every fucking day, somebody's like, "Are you into Vikings and shit?" And I'm like, "No, I just have a mohawk.
Yeah,
like this is just how my hair is." But it's really funny how like in vogue the whole fucking Viking thing is today. And it's
you got Spartans and shit as well, gladiators.
Yeah,
you know, like they're heroes, man. Like that, we crave, us as men, we crave that now.
Yeah,
we miss it. It's like it's in our fucking blood, but we can't act on it. So that's why we get obsessed with the gym, or we get obsessed with like MMA and fighting and stuff. Like we want it, but it's just not socially acceptable anymore. And plus, you know, we've evolved as human beings, I think. You know what I mean? Like we don't have to wage war against everybody anymore for like titles.
A little bit we've evolved.
Oh yeah,
evolved.
a little bit. Not
still
a lot.
In there.
Right.
I still feel like waging war on motherfuckers all the time.
As you can tell, I was hesitant when I said that because I was like, "Is this the right fucking word for it?" Yeah. It's like, but we've also devolved a bunch as well, which we can go into that as well too. But yeah, we look at these, we crave it, man. But also, it gives us inspiration. That was kind of the whole thing behind Norse. Is these people did really cool fucking things, and I want to live in that image. That doesn't mean label yourself a Viking or anything, or a Spartan or anything like that. It's just like these people did cool things. We can use as motivation to better ourselves.
Right.
That was it.
Right. So the brand starts taking off through Instagram, selling online. When did it become, I think I'm going to make a gym, and then
So my kid, I found out I was having a kid in 2016, and that's when Norse started to get serious. So up to that point, it was just kind of a side thing. And
so what else were you doing?
I was a bartender,
Gotcha.
you know, and I was trying to figure out what the fuck I was going to do with my life.
Yeah.
And I applied to this job, and it was this huge test, like 6 hours long and stuff like that. And I remember telling I studied for it, like I gave it my all. But I remember telling myself, if I don't get this job, I'm going to take it as a sign, and I'm going dick deep on Norse. And I remember getting the phone call. I was driving to Bonefish, which is where I worked at the time. I was driving there. I got the phone call. They said I didn't pass the test. I pulled over to a parking lot, and I just kind of sat there for a second. And I just kind of, you know, let it sink in. I was like, cool, let's fucking do it.
Let's do it.
And that was it.
Were you, I don't mean to cut you off, but I think I've had those moments too. You know, in that moment, even though you didn't get the job, was that the answer you were hoping for?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, the only reason I applied for that job, it's not that I wanted to work some fucking 12-hour shift at some factory, but I had a kid on the way, and I felt like, you know, I needed to do something for my kid. If it wasn't for that, I would have never applied at this fucking job.
Yeah. It's like you're almost at the on-ramp to the fucking burn the boats, give it your all, take the biggest risk, but you got one last little potential exit.
Yeah.
Let me just make sure. And then, but really deep inside, you were like, you were excited.
I think so, man. Yeah, and it was a new challenge, and I've always got excited about that kind of stuff. So yeah, I was never hesitant. I wasn't scared. I was just like, cool, let's fucking go. It's game time. And then from that point forward, I just started reading as much as I could. You know, I was still working at Bonefish, and once again, I had a kid on the way, so I was like, I need to do this as long as possible. You know, like I've got to keep building Norse, but this isn't going to pay the bills, because if I start taking away from Norse, then I'm not going to have money to put into more inventory. You know, I was like, we're not at that point yet. So I was working at Bonefish, and I remember, so my kid was born, and I knew that I was on my way out, but I was just hanging on, man. I was like, I've got to just keep growing the brand. So my kid was born in October. February of the next year, so 4 or 5 months later, I was just fed up, dude. I couldn't take it anymore. And at this point, Norse is starting to like boom a little bit. It's starting to grow. And I went to go drive into work. There was an exit. I could have taken a right, and that was going to go home. And if I would have taken a left, that would have went to work. And I was like, I'm going fucking home. I'm not doing this. I was like, no, you got to fucking go. You know, you got a little girl. You know how this shit is, man.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like, nope, you got a fucking kid. You're going to work, dude. So I went to work, open up my car door, puke. I'm like, for fuck's sake. I still get up. I go in there. I'm working with this bartender. She's being a bitch. The manager comes up to me. He's being a dick. And I was like, I'm done. You know, what do you mean you're done? I was like, I'm fucking done. You know, every night they were getting slower. I was making less money. And while I'm there wasting my fucking time with my thumb in my ass, I'm getting like my phone's blowing up with sales. And I'm like, if I was at home working, this would be more. I'd be making more fucking money. I would be growing the business, but instead I'm wasting my time here. So that was it, dude. And I quit. And that was very terrifying because I had a 4-month-old little girl. I had a family at this point, you know. And if this was 6 years earlier or a year earlier, I wouldn't have given a fuck. You know, I was like, quit. I'll get a new job. Once again, I lived in a van for fucking 5 years. Like, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
I'm not a materialistic person, but that was terrifying, man. But what's funny, so I quit that job. I'm self-employed at this point. I'm 25. And I go, all right, well, I'm going to open up a gym. So I quit the job. I'm self-employed. That was like a big jump. But then 4 months later, I decided to open up a gym. So I just back to back, dude. You know what I mean? But once you get rolling, like, fuck it.
So how were you able to actually open up a gym?
So that had to happen because at this point, Norse is making knee sleeves and wrist wraps, and I'm not able to function out of the 10x10 room in my house. So I was like, all right, I need inventory space, but I don't have enough money to pay myself and pay for a building. So I'll open up a gym. I need a gym anyways because there's not shit in Concord.
Right.
And
people will pay membership fees.
Right. I was like, if I need it, other people will need it. I was like, if I can just break even on this gym to pay for the building, then I'm set. And that's pretty much how that happened.
Wow. Cool, man.
Yeah.
So how did you learn where to source like fucking sleeves and wraps and all that? Like when I think about that, like logistically, like if I just decide tomorrow I'm going to start doing that, like how do you figure all that stuff out?
So
I'm sure there's a lot of people listening who wonder that too.
I'm trying to think. I wanted to start selling on Amazon. That's how it started. So I wanted to start.
And at this point, it's just you still, right?
It's just
like,
me.
You don't have...
Even up to this day, dude. It's like up until the past 6 months, it's just been me for the most part. Me and some dude packing orders.
Right.
But now I'm like starting to grow the team more. But I wanted to start selling our stuff on Amazon just for another outlet. It seemed like a good idea. And when I started looking into that, I started learning about outsourcing and manufacturing and stuff like that. So the knee sleeve was the first thing that I was like, all right, I want to make knee sleeves. And that's kind of what got the ball rolling with like the strength gear.
So did you just find some factory that could make knee sleeves for you?
Yeah, so that was a whole shitstorm on its own, trying to find a manufacturer that didn't suck. So the first pair, I got them in, and within 2 weeks of people wearing them, they tore.
Yeah.
So I was like, cool. So I just ditched them, about 10 grand worth of, which I didn't have the money to spend, but I was like, I can't fucking sell these because I'm not going to get that reputation. Like, we cannot have a reputation for our gear sucking. So pretty much I threw away $10,000 worth of knee sleeves, man. And as soon as I started to see that they're tearing, I was like, fuck this. I threw them away. And then I spent about 6 months sampling, like trying different manufacturers, asking around, stuff like that. And we'd get samples in of knee sleeves, and we would take them through the ringer at Norse. Like we're trying to put like we're pulling on with like 1,000 pounds worth of pressure. We had like a little gauge that like measured it. We're playing tug of war with them. We're doing pull-ups with them. The whole thing was, I do not want, these knee sleeves are not going to fucking tear. These are going to be the most durable knee sleeves on the market. And until we found a product that did it, we pretty much stopped making knee sleeves for about 6 to 8 months. Well, actually, it was about 6 months, and then there was another 2 months of getting it manufactured. So yeah, like I started it, and then I put it on pause. I kind of went back to the drawing board, and then once I had a product that I was proud of, then I started selling them again.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Man, and like you've got like your designs and shit are awesome. Is that all you, or do you work with designers?
I work with designers, so I'm definitely not talented enough to do that. So I have the vision in my head, and then I'll outsource it to people that I think would work well for it.
Okay.
And the majority of the time it works out really well. There's only been about 2 to 3 times that like I got a design back and I was like, I can't use this. But the majority of the time, the people that I go to, I tell them what I want, and then they give it back to me, and it's more than I thought. Like, my expectations are blown. Yeah. I'm like, fucking cool. Awesome.
Well, like the flag you sent me, the design on that, which I think folks can see it on the video, death to the victim mentality with the skull and the hatchet, dude. Like, I was like, God damn, I want to design shit like this. Like, so I was curious if that was you.
So I messaged the dude and I told him what I wanted. So every aspect of that logo, or
you laid it out like,
so
this and this.
Sometimes I'll give a really shitty stick figure drawing of what I want, and somehow they decipher that into actually make a good design. But yeah, with that one, it was like, I want an axe going, like plunging someone in the fucking head. That obviously being the person with the victim mentality, with it going to their head because the whole mentality aspect. And
dude, I love it so much. Like, I fucking love it so much.
Thank you.
Like, I was like, when I got it, I was like, it's going in the studio.
That design had to happen, man. Like, I don't ever run out of ideas, because if I do, I just look at society.
I was going to say, it's a constant fucking...
And it's worse than it's ever been. But that's the one thing that keeps most people down. Once again, like, Norse is all about mindset first, physical second. But then again, they play hand in hand together.
I wanted to ask you this. What is the Norse mindset?
I mean, the Norse mentality...
Or Norse mentality.
Yeah, the Norse mindset, mentality, whatever, is really the opposite of the victim mindset. You attack obstacles full on. It's like I was saying earlier, these people got into a fucking boat because they had a vision, and they sailed an endless ocean not knowing what to expect. it's that, or it's fucking charging into a new endeavor, kind of like I did with business, and just being like, we're going to make it happen no matter what. You know, burn the fucking ships, which is like a catchy saying now, but that's exactly what it was.
It's true, yeah.
Right. You know, just giving up, having a fucking positive mindset, which that's really been something I've been stressing on more as I evolve as a person. Norse does as well. It's hand in hand. There's no way around it. But really having a positive mindset is the most fucking masculine thing that you can do. That is the fucking warrior mindset, you know, and that's another thing too. People are like, oh, I'm a Viking, but you're a negative fucking piece of shit.
Right.
You know, how are you going do you think these people actually doubted themselves going into battle, or it's like self-talk in general, which is something I've been harping on a lot lately?
Dude, it's so important, man. Like, and I post about this stuff all the time, and I'll say it, you know, and I know when I'm typing that shit out, I know what motherfuckers are going to start replying, you know, and it's like, I'll say like, everything's my fault. Like, you need to learn everything's your fault.
Responsibility, man.
And it's like, and there's no but, there's no if, it's all your fucking fault. I don't care if it really is, but I'm saying if you approach it from that mindset, then that's going to produce the best outcome for you. Yeah. And dude, every time I do it, like there's all these guys like, well, what if this happens and what if this? I'm like, you've already fucking lost. Right. Man. You've already lost.
You're
like,
a fucking weak piece of shit.
Exactly. And I think that, like you said, that positive mindset, that fucking, it's all on me. I'm going to get after it. I'm going to take care of it. Like, I don't need anybody else. And not saying that it's not good to work with other people, but I'm saying like taking responsibility on yourself and maintaining that optimism that you're gonna fucking get through it no matter what. Like,
well, that right there's that's positive, and that's why I don't think people know. They don't put two and two together. You know, you hear positive, and a lot of times you think of like fucking hippies or some shit like that. But at the end of the day, like I said, positivity is the most masculine fucking thing that you can do, because you will not accomplish your goals and you will not get what you want out of life if you have some negative fucking mindset and you doubt yourself. Because that is negativity. That is doubting yourself. That's negative self-talk.
And that's what I like about your brand especially, because it's fucking all black. It's fucking, you know, hardcore this, you know, like a lot of folks would look at it like it's sort of counterculture, but at the same time, it's all about positive mindset.
Yeah.
You know, like I love the fact that you've been able to marry those two things, because like you said, I think too often men especially afraid of being labeled as hippie or whatever.
Right.
They're afraid to talk about being optimistic or positive or, you know, like it's this weird thing, right? Like men are fucking weird anyway. Like we're afraid to talk about emotions. We're afraid, you know, we worry too much about what people think in general. But that's one of the things I really like about Norse, that you've been able to kind of create. And I think it's probably, and correct me if I'm wrong, I mean, it's really stemmed from you just being unapologetically your authentic self and letting that carry through your brand.
Yeah, right? Like I said, they play hand in hand. You know, Norse isn't a personal brand, but at the same time, since I design everything and, you know, I do type up all the
it's unavoidable. It's going to reflect
It's going to happen. But luckily, like I said, I am growing as a person. That never stops. It's never going to stop. But as I grow, Norse grows as well. And it's like you said, you don't really see it in the fitness world or in general, especially in like with men. Being positive is kind of like for some reason, it's frowned upon, and I want to change that. You know, like we have a new shirt coming out, and I don't know how it's going to fucking do, man. It's what is it? It's Unwavering Positivity. That's what it says on the back, and it has like a old like rune sun wheel that they found on a stone from the Bronze Age, and it's got that in the background. But Unwavering Positivity is exactly what we were just talking about. Yep. It's no matter what life throws at me, I'm going to fucking get through it.
Yeah, so you know, and I've been accused of this, like especially. When I was opening my bar businesses and all that, before I sold all that, like being blindly optimistic, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, to an extent, I fucking have to be.
Yeah.
Right? Like I have to be. And it's the same thing, unwavering positivity, same fucking thing. Like, what are you going to do? Just like let yourself get in the way of any potential success you might have just because you're worried about what fucking might happen?
As soon as you start doubting yourself, you've lost.
You've lost, yeah. I'll buy one of those fucking shirts. And everybody listening better buy one of those shirts too, because it's important, man. And especially today, dude. And there's an attack on masculinity from all different angles. You know, I had Aubrey Huff on yesterday.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, 2-time World Series champ. Like, big time advocate for, you know, the alpha mentality. And I mean, he's a true like fucking guy's guy. And guys like that have been demonized by society. And I think starting at a young age, and I've talked about this a million times on the show, like the whole participation trophy mentality and all of this. And it's like you have sort of from when we're young to today, when guys like you are immediately looked at and judged for, how we look. And I don't know where it's coming from, and I don't know why. Aubrey has a theory on it. But I was curious, like, what your thoughts were about like this all-out attack on masculinity today, and forcing us to be, really subpar and average is what it comes down to.
I think it goes, not to really get involved in politics or anything, but it stems from
that.
I
hate politics on this show.
But I think it stems from that. The last thing that.
So what you're trying to say is fuck socialism?
Yeah. Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
I'm a business owner, but
yeah,
but at the same time, all right. So weak people are controllable.
True.
Simple as that. So if you want to control a population, what are you going to do? You're going to fucking break down the masculine people, the alpha males and shit like that. The ones that are going to question what you're saying, you're going to make the rest of the population think that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
And that's where abandoned modern culture comes from, which is another thing. It's on my shirt that I'm wearing right now.
I love that.
Abandoned modern culture is exactly that. And that's something that I realized when I was 15, dude. I was sitting on the school bus. I wasn't even driving yet. And these two kids started to kind of get into like a fight or whatever. But you could tell they were very hesitant. And the reason they were hesitant was because at that time, if you even talked about throwing fists with someone, your ass got taken to jail. That's what it was in high school. And I remember thinking, I'm like, this is fucked. Like, we're supposed to like fight. Yeah. Like, that's what we're supposed to do as young males. Like, our testosterone's through the roof. We just want to fight and fuck everything. And when you take that away, you're breaking them down. And that's the thing, is the reason they're limiting and there's an attack on masculinity in general is because they want to destroy it. Because if they fucking destroy it, then you're controllable. You don't have anyone that's going to question what you're saying.
Now, when you say they, who do you refer to?
Man, there? Everything, man. Your politicians, your media. Even at a certain extent, corporations, probably certain brands.
Yeah, I think those are the big three.
The people with power,
the politics, the media, and the corporate.
Yeah,
certain aspects of the corporate world. And Aubrey actually gave pretty much the same answer.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I was interested to see your thought there, because he immediately spat it out just like you did. He was like, well, if you take out the strong people, then the population is controllable.
That's it, dude. That's it.
And it's, man, and then we kind of expounded on that a little bit. And I was like, well, yeah, so you eliminate, quote, alpha males or just start attacking that type of person, then take away our guns, then you defund the police. It's like, man, you have completely created a controllable population at that point.
Back in the day, it used to really confuse me. And I remember talking to my dad about this in high school, probably, early 20s, whatever. And I was like, I don't understand why we don't put more of an effort into our schools, our education system. I don't know why we don't put more of an emphasis on health with our population. I was like, to me, the stronger your population, the stronger your country is. And for the longest time, that didn't make sense to me. And it's really up until recently that I'm like, oh, I fucking get it. Yeah. Like, you don't want us to be healthy. You don't want us to be smart because you can't fucking control us at that point.
There's a reason they were not talking about vitamin D, zinc, taking care of your immune system
during the fucking COVID
throughout
shit.
All this stuff.
Yeah, it's still going on. Yeah,
yeah, and it's the same thing, man. And and I hate to be like a conspiracy theorist person, but it's like you just start looking at it, and it's like, whether it's intentional or not, this is what's happening.
Yeah,
right. Like we're not as healthy. We're obese. Fucking real men are diminishing by the minute.
Yeah,
they're taking away your right to defend yourself against tyranny. And then there's an all-out effort at defunding the police, and it's
I'm not. So growing up in the hardcore scene, we're pretty much like anti-cop everything.
Sure,
that's what it was. You know what I mean? And I'll be real with that. But never once did I actually have anything against cops. But at the same time, I remember I got pulled over every single fucking week from the time I started driving up until, for a long maybe every week was dramatized, but I got pulled over all the fucking time. Mm-hmm. And it's because I looked like a little asshole. I drove this 86 Firebird that was way too fast. You know what I mean? But I would get slammed on fucking car hoods or thrown in handcuffs and all this shit. And it's like, well, when I was younger, I
Well, look, dude, there are bad cops.
There are, but there's bad people, man.
There's bad people.
So that's what I mean. Like, I grew up in the hardcore scene where like cops are the fucking enemy. You know what I mean? And even someone that really got dealt the other side of that really had a reason to maybe hate cops. I never once said that all cops are fucking bastards. You know, so that's a popular thing, ACAB.
Yep.
And the punk and hardcore scene, it's ACAB. All cops are bastards. I never really got behind that mentality because I knew cops. I'm like, these are solid fucking dudes. Right. You know what I mean? Right. And really, it all stopped. And at the same time, looking back, I was probably being a little fucking asshole, you know, like to a certain extent, because I Googled one fucking night. I got on Google and I said, how to properly deal with cops when you get pulled over. And as soon as I started actually doing that, you know, rolling down the windows, turning the car off, putting my fucking hands on the steering wheel outside the car, I've never had an issue with a cop since.
Yeah, dude. And man, I grew up in a awful neighborhood. Like we were, both my parents were drug addicts, like in and out of prison. We were homeless, all that shit at times. And like, I mean, it was just a part of normal life, cops. Because, you know, everybody was fucking into something, drugs.
And you were probably raised and not have any use for cops, right?
Well, so here's what happened for me. And it's weird because like my situation generally would create a complete fucking shithead or somebody who rebels against all of that and says, I'm going to be completely different from my parents. I'm
right there with you. Right.
So like, my whole thing was like, thank God these cops are here, because also they pulled me out of an abusive household more than once.
Yeah.
You know, like they showed up.
They were your savior.
Right. And, you know, I was the only white kid in my neighborhood, me and my sister. Everybody else was black or Hispanic where I lived. And it was the same thing, man. There were tons of good people in that neighborhood, like especially elderly people who had lived there for a long time. And then it kind of fucking turned to shit, but they lived there.
Right.
They were thankful for cops. And so like, and we knew like the community cops, we knew the guys that would come around and, you know, they would play with us and stuff, you know, like that's a good cop.
Yeah.
And they do fucking exist. But like, I saw a lot of really bad ones too. And I saw, you know, and just like you said, there are people, dude, there's bad fucking fast food cashiers. Like there's bad fucking doctors. Like people vary and you can't lump all these people together. But I think it's important when you're talking about the ACAB thing and defunding police and all that to just say, okay, well, let's just do a thought experiment. Let's take them all away. How do you think that's going to fucking look?
That's what doesn't make sense to me.
Right,
so growing up in like the ACAB world, as soon as, you know, the defund the police thing shit started, I was just like, what the fuck are you guys thinking? How is that going to work out for you? You know, and I remember thinking this, and then I think Jocko talked about it a couple weeks later. And I was like, well, at least my thought process is right. You know, my whole thing since the Minneapolis shit started, because that's when the whole defund the police thing, you know, became a reality.
Came roaring back again.
Right. And I was
Ferguson and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. It happens every once in a while. But that's, like this time they actually were like, we're going to defund the police. And I was like, just give them more fucking training.
Yeah, dude.
You know, instead of spending all this fucking money on, when I was in Panama City, I remember.
And Jocko did say that.
Right. Yeah. And so I was actually, I listened to, I think he was on Rogan or something. I was like, oh shit, this dude's saying what I'm thinking, which made me feel good. You know, I respect that dude. But I remember being in Panama City and the cops had a fucking tank. What do you need a fucking tank for? Take that money and put it into actually training these people, make them confident. And that's where, that was my whole basis for my thought process with it was, instead of defunding them, make them confident. The reason they're shooting people and the reason a lot of them are shooting people is because they're fucking scared.
Scared. Yeah, it's fear.
So make them confident. How do you get confident? You fucking train.
Physical prowess.
That's it, man. You teach you read books. You fucking get in the ringer. Like you go through the motions, and then over time you get more confident with it.
Well, you heard that episode with Jocko. I think, what did he say? Like, police receive, and actually I had an NYPD cop on my show, Mike Cunahan, and we talked about it. But like, police get training initially, and then never again. Like,
that's ridiculous. It should be every 6 months at least.
It's fucking insane.
Yeah.
And you know, I disagree on many points with Andrew Yang, for example. But he had a good point when he was running for president.
He was a Democrat, right?
Yeah, but he's Democrat and he's for like universal basic income and all
legalizing
these things.
Weed, shit like that.
Yeah. I mean, really, really intelligent guy, kind of against the grain in a lot of ways on the left. But one thing that I liked about him was that he proposed that like all police officers be required to have at least, I think it was like a purple belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah, I would say Jiu-Jitsu, man.
I'm like, dude, that makes so much sense. And it's like, why aren't these people trained to be at least savvy enough to like take someone down, submit them without needing their weapon?
Yeah.
And it's like, it makes so much sense.
But why the fuck isn't it getting done? That's what
Why
I don't
isn't
know.
it getting
Why are we
done?
spending money on stupid? We can't afford it. And stop buying stupid fucking shit.
Yeah.
And put it into someone that can train. You know what I mean? I can guarantee. Like I know Tim Kennedy. Tim Kennedy. He's like he's working a lot with police.
Yeah.
They're doing like a virtual fucking simulation thing and stuff.
Sheepdog training.
Yeah, like you can find trainers that will like travel the country.
But it should be the norm, dude.
It should just definitely be the norm. That's what I mean. There's no reason for us not to be doing it, which I'm not a cop. I don't really – I can't speak on this. But from an outside perspective, I think a lot of people are just – they're not confident in their ability to take down some big motherfucker that's causing ruckus.
Dude, if I am like hopped up on PCP doing like being fucking crazy, a cop is going to be like, yep, I'm going to need my weapon. Like,
you're a big fucking dude, right?
Right.
Exactly.
Or you or any guy like us, like – And of course, I don't blame them. It's like, especially if they don't have any sort of training to actually, because what's the alternative? Like they're going to get into a hand-to-hand battle with someone. There's a very strong likelihood we'll be able to get a hold of their weapon or,
So we can't just blame, and I just thought about this while you're talking. We can't just blame the politicians and whoever's in charge of the police academies and shit like that. You can't blame them because at the same time, how many fucking cops are actually working out? There are a lot. You know what I mean? I got this black dude at the gym. He's a cop. And he's the baddest fucking dude at that gym. Like you said earlier, we have some strong guys.
It's like Mike Cunahan on my show fucking trains like a madman.
But that's the thing is if you're putting yourself, but how many cops do you see that are completely out of shape that couldn't run a mile or,
a ton.
They eat like shit. They got a big
old belly. So they need some personal responsibility for their own
if you're going to
health.
if you're going to go into that career field, you need to be willing to fucking have your head on straight and also like be as physically capable as possible, not only for yourself but for everyone else. Say if you got a kid and you're a cop, you need to be at your A game physically, I think. You know what I mean? Yeah.
If you're not, I mean, you're like maximize or you're increasing the likelihood that child will be fatherless or motherless.
Right. And that's not an option as a father, which like I said, this is probably I'm not the right person to be talking about this because I'm not a cop or anything, but we're
allowed to have opinions.
Yeah, we're allowed to have opinions, but that's I just don't want anyone listening to be like, "Fuck this dude, he doesn't know what my life's like." Because you're right, I can't even imagine the amount of stress that these dudes go through, and that's something too. Yeah. The amount of fucking stress,
health,
man.
Yeah.
Even as a business owner, my mental health goes as a fucking roller coaster. I can't imagine if I'm dealing with the kind of shit that they are on a daily basis.
Wake up every goddamn day, not like knowing that your job entails like legitimately possibly dying.
It takes a different creature, man. I have the utmost respect for him. Every
goddamn day. And I talked to Mike about this, he's NYPD. He's up in the fucking shit, and he's like, dude, like it was one thing when it was like a dangerous job, but now it's a dangerous job and everybody hates you. Like you're demonized and it's like you're trying to like your job is literally to protect them. And they're giving you the middle finger.
So that's another mental obstacle that you're going to have to overcome as well. It's like my job's dangerous as shit, but then at the same time, everyone fucking hates me. And
who's going to sign up to be a cop? Like
that's the thing. You're not going to have to defund these motherfuckers because you're not going to have anyone signing up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I'm right there with you. I mean, look, I've known I've been fucking manhandled by a cop, treated the wrong way by a cop, but never was I like, oh, we don't need police. You know, like. It's a crazy concept, but we ended up here because we were talking about like how do you make a population weak and controllable, and that was one of the aspects. And like I said, dude, maybe that's not like the big conspiratorial fucking Alex Jones nebulous plan, but like it's certainly happening that way. Right?
Yeah,
like,
and there's got to be a reason for it. And I don't really get involved with any of this shit. I keep my head in my circle. What I can control, and I don't watch the fucking news. I don't read any of the news. I stay out of it. I used to be very political. I'm not anymore.
Yeah.
And it's just
I bet your mental health improved.
Oh, dude, that's why I stopped. I was always pissed off. I was 20 years old. So Denouncer, actually, we started off like pretty political.
Yeah.
And I was just always fucking mad. And I was like, why? Like, why am I mad about this?
Yeah.
I don't fucking control this. But at the same time, I don't want to, like, there's got to be a fucking reason to it, because why else would they be doing what they're doing?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Besides like trying to make us fucking weak. That's the only answer to it.
Yeah, and it's tough, man. I go back and forth on like being political versus not. But then when I had a kid, I start to be like, well, I need to be concerned with where this shit's going. Like I'm raising a human in this shit now, and like, I was kind of forced into it. I don't know how much of my story, but like, I was just an online coach putting up fitness content and that kind of shit, and like, I got some shit because I was posting videos in this gym. This was maybe. It's a year ago now. It's crazy that COVID's been around that fucking long. But people are like, why aren't you wearing a mask in your training videos? And this was like when we were in the thick of the hysteria, And because Aaron, the owner of this gym, God bless him, or, whoever bless him, he never required masks.
Really?
Never.
Yeah, we never did either.
Dude. And that even speaks more because you're in North Carolina, fucking blue commune, Carolina. But so I'm posting these videos and I'm getting questions about why aren't you wearing a mask? And instead of replying to all the DMs, I decided to make a video. And just like I took time, like I researched, made sure I had examples of papers and stuff where I could show like the studies and everything, because there's considerable evidence that wearing a cloth mask in the gym is actually a liability. It's dangerous, and you can actually spread more virus, So I laid it all out there. I put a video out, dude, fucking canceled. Like I lost clients, people blocked me, like it was insane. And so I really had no choice at that point.
Yeah,
and I was like,
fuck it, we're already here.
Fuck it. Like, so I'm just going to talk about this. And so, the last year has been kind of like giving a middle finger to all those people.
Yeah.
But it has definitely, and the reason I mention all this is like it has affected my mental health.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to have a little bit better balance of it now. It was tempting to kind of just ignore all of it once Biden took office and everything. But like, then I was concerned about like fucking, we got a senile dude who can't, and it's just, it feels like, it's not even the real world, man. It's crazy.
That's the thing, man. It's just, like I said, I just don't pay any fucking attention to it. Like my world is perfect just the way it is, but it's because like my world is Norse.
Yeah.
I hang out with people from the gym. I have, this is my community.
And this is an important message for people listening. And this is what I was kind of trying to pull out of you and get to circuitously telling my story is like ultimately at the end of the day, like we just got to fucking wake up and take care of ours.
Tribe mentality.
Yeah.
That's it, dude.
Yeah.
You can't, for one, I don't think you should get wrapped. You shouldn't get worked up about shit that you can't control. And I know that's extremely hard, especially nowadays.
Well, part of my job is talking about it too.
Right.
So.
And that's like, that's what you need to do. But at this point in my life, I am determined to be the happiest individual possible. Like I said, I grew up with depression and it has always wreaked havoc on me. And really the past year, I'm just like, fuck this. Yeah. Like, I'm not doing it anymore. But at the same time.
Now, when you say fuck this, what do you mean?
Fuck being unhappy, man. Like
so what did you do?
Dude, I started doing everything. I've always studied it just because I've been trying to get out of it. But, I started doing everything possible. Meditation, yoga, running more, working out more. Just
how has that been for you?
Amazing.
Yeah. Dude, I find that getting outside, just fucking
that's the best.
Outside.
And that's the thing too, man. It just, the more you get outside, the happier of a person you are. And that's another thing too. Stay inside. Fuck you. You need the fucking sun. Yeah. It's a goddamn life source.
Well, man, it was like stay inside, no gyms, not talking about vitamin
You couldn't even
D
walk down the fucking road
health.
in North Carolina, man. And that's just like, it blew my fucking mind, once again on the whole health thing. But yeah, I refuse to not be happy, man. Like, and with me, it really is something that I can't control a lot of times. It takes control. And I'm like, I don't know why I'm like this. I want to blow my brains out and I don't know why. I have an amazing life. It can't get any better. I'm the luckiest dude on this earth. But there's times, man, where I'm just like, I want to fucking kill myself. And at this point, like my mental health is the number one priority. Yeah. And, when it goes to politics and stuff like that, I can make a very strong group. I can build a strong tribe. I can do what I want to do. I can talk about what I want to talk about. I can live life based off my values and what I want. I'm not going to let anyone else fucking control that.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like that's all I have. And that's always been my priority. I mean, That's how Norse started, dude, was creating a fucking community that we didn't fit in with everyone else. You know, right. I saw what to me was wrong with the fitness industry, and I decided to do the complete opposite. And even like we go to the Arnold, and we're the fucking outcast there, and I love it, man. Like Norse stands out at the Arnold because we're not like any other brand. But that's the thing, is like we're kind of fucking, you can't ignore us.
Yeah.
But it's not supposed to be that way. Like we should have just been fucking kept in the shadows, but it's not, you know? And that's, I don't know. I think more people should do shit like that.
Yeah. I think that, a few things there, like when you were talking about that I was thinking about. First off is that as men, we don't talk about that shit enough.
Yeah.
Our mental health. And like, I have had a gun in my mouth, like, you know, and I've been there.
Yeah.
And I always talk about it. It was when I was like literally at what would you call it? Like at face value from the outside looking in, it's when I should have been the most happiest in my life based off of these fucking conventional standards. I owned a multi-million-dollar business, had the 4-bedroom brick house with the in-ground pool and like multiple cars and, you know, all this shit. And like, I was ready to die.
Yeah.
I was ready to die. My life had no meaning.
That's what I was going to get to, man. Purpose.
I was chasing $1 every day. I was obsessed with, and dude, I don't know where it came from. I think it was because I grew up fucking dirt poor, you know, and so that instilled in me, like, I'm never going to feel that shit again.
That's where mine came from too.
Yeah. And I was like, but my obsession and my priority was misplaced because I placed it on the dollar, not on creating value or doing something that fulfilled me with purpose that would then ultimately result, of course, in, you know, prosperity. But so I was just chasing $1. So I was in the bar industry. I owned multiple locations of a craft beer bar chain. And, you know, I was, you know, the industry, we opened up talking about it, right? Yeah. Like that was my fucking life every fucking day. But, you know, I'm the owner, so I'm dealing with all the other things.
The bullshit.
Man. And, you know, fucking 20-hour days and it just eats at you. And I was like, my goal was to be a millionaire before I was 30 on paper, you know, got to that goal, wanted to die. Like I would have given it all the fuck away just to like feel like my life meant something.
Yeah.
And this is just getting back to your point. Like men need to talk about that, dude. Like if I had opened up about that shit a little earlier, I probably would have never ended up with a barrel in my mouth ready, you know, and
I got a counselor actually. So that was
I started seeing a therapist.
Yeah. And I think that's something that I definitely want to talk about it more on my platform, but we can use this one as well, especially if you've done it too. I got a counselor, but here's my fucking thing on it, and this is for everyone, not just men, but if there's anything that you can do to improve, you need to fucking do it.
Yeah.
If that means getting a counselor, then get a goddamn counselor.
Well, it's
you know
like
what I mean?
You said, not to cut you off, but like an important point, you said that like you have to actively work to be happy. Right?
Yeah, and if you've been down to where we've been, you realize how fucking bad it is, and it gets to a point where you never want to return to that. Yeah. So if that means seeing a counselor, if that means doing fucking yoga and meditation and whatever other weird shit I fucking did, I would have done. And this is within the past year, man. Like 6 months ago, I was fucking suicidal. The only reason I didn't do it is because my kid. 100%.
That's the only reason I didn't. Like when it, like, and this was a couple years ago. She's 4 now, but like that was the only thing that stopped me.
Yeah.
Like I can say confidently, in that last moment, I thought of her. Pulled it away.
That's it.
I'm not going to be that guy. I'm not going to be that piece of shit dad.
No.
You know?
But then for those people listening that might be dealing with something similar right now, you have people that care about you. And whenever you're in that pit of despair and all this shit and you're just like, fuck it, no one gives a shit about me. For some reason, when we're at that point, we're in that hole, we don't think that anyone gives a fuck. But there's always someone that does. People value you. And you need to remember that. So just because you don't have a kid doesn't mean that you don't have a point in living. Like you have parents, you have friends, you have siblings. There's people out there that give a fuck about you. And I don't care who you are, you have a responsibility to help people and to provide value. If you're fucking gone, the world's missing something that you could have potentially given it to help other people as well.
And that's so true, man. And I actually had this thought, like, obviously it was my daughter that truly prevented it for me. And I know she's going to hear this one day. So Carter, thank you. I fucking love you. But also it was this thought of, well, hold on a second. Like if nothing else, why don't I just not end this thing, but do something radical, like fucking like try to do something really crazy, awesome, like because why not? Like before I throw my life away, let me just like really go for something big just for the fuck of it.
What was that? What'd you go for?
Well, so for
what
me,
are you going for?
Well, so for me, it actually it ended up being selling everything. I sold fucking everything. I started doing what makes me happy, trying to ground myself a little more, and that was nutrition coaching. Fitness is kind of for you. You knew you wanted to do something in fitness. I mean, it's what I've always fucking loved. It's always been my sanctuary, my release, my meditation. I love to go in there and just throw fucking weight around until my body gives out. Like that for me that's
it for me. That's the mental. That's how it started, man. Was the depression, like I said earlier.
Yeah. So I got involved with First Form. I started coaching people, and then I just started. I really just took time to fucking read, learn. Take time for myself. I was so focused, and I've talked about this a little bit before. My focus was so outside of me and forward that I never took time to look in.
Yeah.
And get to know who the fuck is in there, because that's a scary thing. Like I wasn't sure I wanted to know that guy, and I finally did get to know that guy. And I mean, that's why now it's, I do the fucking messaging with the signs and stuff on social media and the podcast, and I do some coaching stuff. I'm writing 2 books right now. Like I'm just doing what makes me happy.
So when did that start for you? Like when was the turning point?
2018 November.
Okay. So mine was within the past year. Same exact story, man. Yeah. I was chasing the fucking dollar, same goal. I just turned 30 May 8th. But I want to be the millionaire by I'm 30. I guess that's like, it's in the industry. That's why everyone wants.
It's like an arbitrary fucking thing.
That's it. And once again, dude, I fucking lost it. And it's because I didn't know myself. And I remember, I like that you brought up you had to focus on yourself for once. When I started seeing a counselor, I remember it was in August. She said, she brought up something about loving yourself. And I was like, I don't know what the fuck that means. Right. I was like, I can't wrap my head around that. But then that bothered me really bad. So I just started making that the number one priority. Like, you gotta love yourself. Yeah. I know I sound like some woohoo motherfucker right now,
dude,
but
no, dude, it's true, man. And especially as men, like because when I started seeing a therapist, dude, I mean, this lady, God bless her, man, she dug some shit out of me from my childhood and like all this stuff that like I had not thought about for 25.
We block it out,
dude. And as soon as she brought it up, it was like, I'm bawling to this lady, fucking 250-pound dude, just like bawling to this lady. And she's just like, that's what I thought. That's what I expected. And she's like, let it out. And dude, it was facing myself and starting to actually focus on myself. And it changed everything.
You know what's weird though is, so you've probably worked out for God knows how long.
18 years.
Right.
Yeah.
So we've always given a fuck about ourselves as far as health goes. But it's not until you get to that fucking low point that you really realize that you haven't been taking care of yourself like you should. Yeah. And for some reason, I thought I did. I'm like, I'm mentally strong. I fucking get after it, whatever. But it was different whenever like I really just had that mental breakdown, that full collapse. I realized like, dude, you've completely neglected yourself. But I wasn't aware of it. Like, if you would have asked me 5 months earlier, I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm fucking on top of it.
I'm good. Yeah.
I had no idea. But once again, it's because we fucking bury it, man. Yeah. You can't do that.
No. And I've seen some of your stuff like in the group text you were talking about, I slept in a cave last night. And like I see you like out hiking barefoot and stuff. And it's like the shit like that makes such a difference. For me, man. Like,
you've got to get outside, man.
Yeah, you got to get outside or whatever it is for you. Like, you just have to take time to do those things. And, if you're one of these guys who is, Andy and myself, we have multiple ventures. We're busy guys. Like, we have kids and all.
Yeah.
It's like, but you have to take time for those things. And I promise it will not hurt your productivity.
It's going to increase it.
It will increase it. Yeah.
So it's funny you say that. I think I wanted to go say it earlier and I forgot, or we got sidetracked. But when I started touring, it was an escape. I wasn't dealing with my shit. I fucking hated Panama City. I grew up in not the best childhood as well, similar to yours. And I just wanted to get out of Panama City. When I left, I didn't have to worry about it anymore. So I never dealt with my shit. And I used travel as an escape all while I was touring, even after my kid was born. Then it just transitioned into business. I was traveling, whatever. Business is how I traveling is how I shut off. And that's just how I like left everything behind. You know, I stopped working. That was my time for myself. But then COVID fucking hit. And this is when everything came crumbling down, dude.
For so many of us.
Yeah, and I was going to touch on that. That's why I asked when your thing happened. And I wasn't able to travel anymore, and that I wasn't able to escape it. I had to sit there and deal with my shit, and that was it, man.
Sit with yourself.
Yeah, dude. And that was fucking. It was rough, man. But now, so I just bought a mountain bike last weekend, and the reason I bought that mountain bike was because I realized that all I was doing, if I didn't have my kid, I was working. I literally, with my kid, I have 50-50 custody. So when my kid was at her mom's, I'm just like, well, I guess I'll just fucking work. And it got to the point where all I've been doing is working, and I started feeling my mental. My mental side was going downhill again. So I was like, I need a fucking hobby. I need something that I can shut off and just get after it in a different way that's not business related. So I bought that mountain bike, and dude, that was probably the best purchase I've ever made in my life. And I've only had it for 4 days now, but I've rode that fucking bike every day, dude. Yeah, man,
I'm getting a kayak, man.
I've been looking at those too.
Yeah,
you can go kayak.
I want to get a fucking like one of those fishing ones.
That's the one I'm looking at. The sit on top ones. Yeah, that's next on the list. But you have to have hobbies, and that's I mean, like, I think that's something to address as well. You know, especially with social media and all this shit, you have people, influencers or whatever the fuck you want to call them. They're like, get after it all the time. No fucking rest is for the weak. No, rest is for the fucking smart. You have to. It doesn't mean that you can't get after it. You know, I wake up at 5. I wake up at 4:45 every day, and I bust my ass all day until I go to sleep. But at the same time, I take the fucking downtime. You know, I'll go ride the mountain bike, or I'll go hiking and sleep in a fucking cave, or whatever I need to do. Because I know that I have to take the downtime, and whenever I come back recharged, and that's the thing, you can only go for so long until you just fucking collapse, and that's what we both did. Yep. We've pushed it as far as we could, and then we collapsed. Yep. You can't allow that to happen. When you start seeing yourself falling apart, you need to take a step back and fucking put a pause on everything, get your shit together. That way you can keep moving forward.
Yeah, I agree 100%, man. It's so important. And I mean, people listening, like it's I've been there. I've listened to like older guys say that, and I'm like, nah, fuck, man. You're just weak or whatever. I'm telling you, if you redline it for long enough, you're gonna get to that point. Yeah. And I'm not even talking about just physical, man. I mean, the physical is whatever. Like, I can deal with a beat up, tired body.
That's like, whatever. Yeah.
It's the mental. And like you've said, like, you get to know yourself enough to where you start to feel it slipping. Like, I can start to tell, okay, maybe tomorrow I'm going to do a half day. I'm going to take the other half, go walk around the Catawba, do
whatever you need. Walking is the number one thing, man. That's and there's actually there's science behind it. So I didn't know this, but walking's always been my therapy. If nothing else, I would go running, I would go walk, whatever. And then actually fairly recently I understood why. So there's a form of therapy called EMDR. It's eye movement repetition or some shit like that. But whenever you're walking, you're actually simulating this EMDR. Your eyes are going all over the place, and usually while you're walking, you're reflecting on whatever's bothering you. Yeah. And when your eyes do this motion, it triggers something in the brain, and that actually helps you release it. So when we're walking and we're looking at everything around us and we're looking off into the distance and stuff like that, we're actually fucking doing therapy on ourselves. It's the most effective form of therapy that you can do. So if something's bothering you, just go fucking walk. There is not a single person on this earth that can say that walking does not make them feel better, unless they're just some fat piece of shit. But
unless they don't have legs.
Right. Then you can go do whatever the fuck you need to do.
Go there. go for a wheel outside. Hey, legless people, we love you too. I'm just a dick.
But either way, there's an outlet for you.
And there has to be something to the fact that we're always staring at screens now in one dimension.
So that's something too. It's so close to your fucking face. Yeah. Once again, when we're looking off into the distance, that actually helps us psychologically. When we have something close up to us, it doesn't. Huh. Andrew Huberman was the one that talks about that.
I love Huberman.
Yeah, so Huberman's actually, he has a whole thing on it. So if anyone wants to learn more about that, just type in Andrew Huberman or Huberman Podcast and type in like EMDR or some shit like that. Okay. And he talks about it.
I think I saw him on Rogan initially.
That's probably a good one.
Yeah.
I just not recently came across him, but his podcast is awesome too.
Yeah. Yeah. What was I going to say? When you walk, do you listen to music or do you just?
No, never, man.
Same.
Never.
I like to just listen to the world around me.
Yeah, listen to the fucking birds, listen to the water, like listen to whatever you need to do. But I find that's a distraction. And when I'm walking, like I said, it's usually a form of therapy. I don't walk for my health necessarily. I walk because I need to work on shit. And if I'm listening to music, it's a distraction. Like, I need to be alone. And I think that's something too that more people need to really make a priority of, is sitting alone with yourself. You know, only a fucking coward runs from that. Only a coward wants to be distracted all the time. You know, it's really hard to just deal with your own shit. And that's why most people are like, I don't want to do meditation. Well, you need to do fucking meditation. And I'm not talking about sitting there with your thoughts. You can go on a walk. That's a form of meditation as well. Right. But really, like, getting into your fucking head, throwing your phone in the car or whatever, and just detaching yourself from everything. Everyone needs to do that, but people are scared as fuck to do it. That's why they're constantly distracted by social media. If something starts bothering them, what do? We pick up our fucking phone so we get that dopamine release.
Yeah, 100%. And it's so much easier to look to the phone and like talk shit about someone else, or like instead of like dealing with your shit, like you said, man. Whenever I see, because I personally am like, I make it a point that I only post my content, and I don't go comment on other people's stuff unless it's like a positive supporting comment to a buddy or something.
So what I like, something that I realized with you and your content is you're always providing value. You're always trying to help people.
I try to.
I think more people should try to do that instead of posting just stupid shit all the time. Like I said, everyone can contribute something to society. You have something that no one else has, or you have an opinion, or you could teach someone something. Like, try to provide more value. It's impossible to feel bad and to be depressed when you're helping other people.
That's right before you said that. That's what I wanted to say. It was like one of the best things for me when I'm feeling down, or whatever, and depressed, in the dumps, whatever you want to fucking call it. Like, and I've said this on my social before. One of the best things you can do is help somebody.
Yeah.
Just help somebody.
It's evolution, man. It's in our DNA.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, whether it's just making an informative post on social or just I'll go to like Walmart sometimes and I'll sit there until I see like an old person who could use help. Like, I swear to God, guys,
I love it.
Fucking do it. Like, try that. And it does something for me. I don't know the mechanism of how it works, but like, I instantly feel better, not only that I help someone, but I feel better about myself, and I feel more positive just overall.
Well, it goes back to the purpose thing, man. Like, up until the past 50 years or 100 years or whatever you want to say, everyone has a specific role in their society, and that role is helped move your tribe forward. So either if it's hunting or farming, or you're the smith or whatever it is, you did something that helped your entire tribe. You knew that you had a purpose, and that's where, like you were talking about earlier, you were miserable because you didn't really have a purpose. Your whole purpose was to make money. You weren't helping people with that. No. So,
and even if I were helping people indirectly, like, that wasn't my goal. Like, obviously, if you own a business, you're helping people.
Yeah.
If you're making money, you're probably
right. You have employees and shit as well. You're putting food on the table.
I didn't make that my mission.
No.
So it didn't even matter that I was helping people because I was so focused on
just that dollar sign, man. And like I said, up until 50 years ago or 100 years ago, everyone had a specific purpose. And if you didn't do your job, everyone fucking suffered for it. So like I said, it's in our DNA to give back and to help our tribe and stuff like that. Nowadays, you have, it's hard to find a job where you're actually contributing to society in a beneficial way, but that doesn't mean that you can't. Right. And I think more people should make a priority of that. Like, you can do something. And I know I keep stressing on that, but it's because I want to drill into these people's fucking heads. There is something that you can do that can help other people. Yeah. And you have a responsibility to do it. And there's no way that you're not going to feel better about it.
100%.
It's as basic as that, man. Like, it's part of being human.
Yeah. And for real, guys, like, try this. Next time you're in a shitty mood, you feel bad, just help somebody.
Just go give a fucking homeless person $20 or some shit. Yeah. Or like you said, go to Walmart and just sit there and help an old person get out of their car.
I'm telling you, man, like, help them put some shit in their trunk, go put some, like, there's plenty of carts that need to be put back probably. Like, just fucking, go do something that's not of benefit to you, but of benefit.
Well, I think that's the most important part, is something that's benefiting other people.
Right.
Not necessarily yourself. Because at the end of the day, man, we don't give a fuck about ourselves. We do. We're very selfish individuals. All of us are. But at the same time, we don't care about ourselves enough to change necessarily. Like, me and you, our main driving force is our kids. Yep. that's what gets me out of bed at 4:45 every day. Honestly, if it wasn't for her, I probably wouldn't. Like, I don't think I have enough love for myself, even at this point, where I would do it. But I have enough love for my kid that I would. Whenever it impacts someone else, we stop. It's kind of like with addiction as well. You know, if someone's addicted to drugs or whatever, they're not going to quit doing the drugs for themselves. But if they can see where it's impacting their family,
definitely,
they will definitely go out of their way to go to rehab. It takes very few people would take it upon themselves to just do it for themselves.
Yeah. And even if it's the case, oftentimes it's because it's harming their ability to function in society, which ultimately trickles down to they can't help their family. They're not of use to the world around them.
And that's a shitty feeling.
Yeah, for sure.
So how do you deal with that? You do more fucking drugs. You drink more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's an endless cycle, and it's hard to pump the fucking brakes on it. You know, I've never been addicted to anything, but I've seen it. You know, my mom's a drug addict and shit like that, and pretty much everyone in my family except for my dad. And like I said, they can't stop, man. Yeah. It's like you feel shitty because of what you just said. You see how it's impacting your life and other people's lives, and you're like, well, fuck, I feel so bad. Let me do more drugs. Yeah. And actually, I sent out an email this morning to our mailing list, and it was exactly about that same topic. And I said that in there, you know, like, we're constantly surrounded by distractions and stimulation and everything like that. And the only way that we can really get our brains to turn off now is through outside sources like drugs and alcohol and stuff. You know, not enough people are going outside and going on walks or finding another outlet that will help that. Like, if I do not stay busy, I'm self-destructive, not in like a drug use kind of way, but like I become very fucking depressed. Now, you know, if I'm balls to the wall from the time I wake up till I go to bed, and I go to bed knowing that like I gave it my all that day, that's what helps me mentally.
And there's no better sleep than after a day like that,
it's
right?
The best.
Dude, it's the best.
Satisfaction, man.
Yeah. And, you know, I have a very addictive personality or very addictive tendencies. Both of my parents, drug addicts. And my sister has struggled with stuff. All of my aunts, fucking everybody. Like, it's in us. And like, I have to be very cognizant of that. Cause I'm and I'm honest, whether it's fucking, Bang energy drinks or alcohol or fucking steroids, anything that like, I know that I'm very susceptible to like being the mouse that hits the button, like more. And the fact that I saw it destroy my parents' lives and really, you know, destroyed my childhood is the only thing that really keeps me from sliding into it. And so all that is just to say that, like, if there's someone in your life who's struggling with addiction, because as a kid, I just hated my parents. You know, I was like, I didn't understand that they to an extent, a part of them was helpless. That they truly were sick.
Well, we don't think about that with our parents, man.
Right. But I just want folks to know, like, if there's someone in your life who's an addict, you need to understand that part about it. Like, their intent is not malicious, probably, but they're truly struggling with a biochemical drive to do, because I have felt it, man. I have felt just one. And I mean, I don't care what it is, bro. Food, it doesn't matter. Like, I feel it in me, and I could see that's why I've never tried any hard drugs. Cause it's like, if I tried cocaine, it might just fucking be lights out, game over.
Yeah.
You know, I'll just be that's it. I'm a cokehead, you know,
Yeah.
and I can feel it, you know? And so, I just wanted to make that point because I made the mistake of really writing a lot of people out of my life because I thought they were bad people because they were drug addicts, you know, and they're not bad people. They're sick people.
No,
right?
I did, ayahuasca for the first time in February.
I want to do that so bad.
It's so fucking rad.
I want to do that.
It's
so
the
bad.
best.
That is the only category of drugs that I am interested in, psychedelics.
Well, to me, it helps. You know what I mean? Like, that's what has really helped me transform myself is that. But so my thing with psychedelics is that it helps break down that wall where you get in touch with your true self.
Where did you do ayahuasca?
I went to Colombia.
You did? Okay.
Yeah. So I went to Colombia, had like an actual shaman and all that shit, you know, and while I was on ayahuasca, I did 5 ceremonies, which is pretty fucking hardcore for ayahuasca.
Shit.
But
did you throw up and stuff?
No, I actually didn't.
Wow.
But the second night, I went balls out. You know, like I was there for a purpose, and I told everyone that when I went to go do ayahuasca, there's about 15 other people there, and they're like, you know, why is everyone here? We're sitting in this little fucking hippie circle or whatever. And I'm like, I'm here because I'm tired of myself. I'm tired of dealing with, you know, I have an amazing, same thing we were talking about earlier. I have an amazing life, and I'm so fucking tired of not being able to have gratitude for it. And I'm over myself. Like I'm here to figure my shit out, you know? And honestly, ayahuasca was my last fucking resort. Like I didn't know what I was going to do, man. And the second night of ayahuasca, I went balls out, and it sucked, man. It was fucking terrible. There's nothing fun about psychedelics in general.
Really?
No, man. Like to me, psychedelics, if you're doing it with purpose, which is the only time I've ever done them, I don't do them just to party. I think that's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know, if I do a psychedelic, I'm going there with a strong purpose. But that right there, anyone listening, I'm not promoting the use of psychedelics, but if you are going to do it, make sure you do it with a purpose. You know, drill that into your head. So I go into the second night. I'm like, I'm going to fucking work on my shit, you know? And I was out of this goddamn world, dude.
What is it like? I know it's hard to describe.
It's so impossible to describe, but like I said, it's pretty much for anyone that meditates, it's that level of meditation that you want to get to, but you never fucking can. It removes that barrier. And the way that they put it is it removes your ego. Right. I don't know if that's necessarily true or not, but that's pretty much, it just reconnected me with my true self. That fucking, I've always said it too. Anyone I've like really talked to on the topic, I'm like, there's 2 sides of me. There's the fucking like, there's the motherfucker, you know, like the person I want to be. And I get them like in certain situations where I'm just like on my A game, usually business or something like that, where I'm just fucking getting after it and I feel great. And then there's fucking me with the problems. There's depressed Andy, you know, like the fucking just bitch, the best way to put it. And ayahuasca removed the bitch. It just put me into straight contact with that fucking person that I know that I am. And that person we're always searching for. I think even in the gym or anything for that matter, you know, like we want to be a certain person. And it's because that person's fucking in you. You know who that is. Yeah. And we try so hard to get there. Well, ayahuasca puts you directly in contact with that person. You're face to face with it. But while I was on it, I remember thinking about my dad and my mom. Like I said, my dad wasn't a drug addict, but the dude had me really young, very angry person. So you can only imagine.
We have a lot in common, man. My parents were 16.
Really? Yeah. So my mom was 16 when she got pregnant with my dad was 18 when I was born. But I remember sitting there and I was like, you know what? Like they tried their best. Like they deal with their own shit. And I think we forget that as individuals. Instead of realizing that everyone's fucking human and we all have our problems, we just think that we're the only ones. And then we look at our parents and we're like, well, you should have fucking done this. I can guarantee you your parents probably tried their fucking best. Right. You know what I mean? Like maybe they could have done a little bit better. And I can guarantee you like most parents regret that now. As a parent, like, you know, we always have regrets. But my mom, I haven't talked to her in 13, 15 years. She's still alive as far as I'm aware of. But I think she tried her best. Once again, she had her own fucking bullshit. You know, I guess that's what I'm trying to get at is I think everyone tries their best, but they all have their own factors that they're dealing with themselves. So just try to have a little more fucking sympathy for people. Mm-hmm. I guess that's where I was trying to get at with that whole thing. But
ayahuasca puts you in touch. When you say puts you in touch with the motherfucker, the one who gets after it, like, and removes the bitch. Was that during the experience only, or like moving
it never
forward?
Left. So I will legitimately say, and I think anyone that has talked to me that knew me before and after will say that when I came back, I was a different person. And I remember how this shit happened, dude. So the first night was just kind of like whatever. And my whole thing, like I'll just be straight with everyone listening. My first night, the intention was I want to learn how to love myself. Because as I said earlier in this conversation, I didn't know what that meant. So going into it, I was just drilling into my head. It's like, I want to learn how to love myself. Yeah. Show me how to love myself. And I fucking take this shot of ayahuasca. And I remember laying on the ground. I fucking curled up in a ball. And that's what I was thinking of the whole time. You know, and I woke up next day and I felt a little bit better about myself. I was like, interesting.
Did
cool.
you see anything?
Yeah. Not like hallucinogens. But I think so, in my opinion, I don't know if this is true or not, but I think the hallucinations and shit come along whenever you don't have a strong purpose. So it's like, okay, my mind's just going to do whatever the fuck it wants to do on the psychedelic.
Yeah.
But if you go into it with that strong purpose and you can really dial in on that and just focus on that one thing, you get the results that you're looking for. And so that second night, I knew exactly what the fuck I wanted to do. You know, like my whole thing going into that second night was I want to learn how to be a happy person so I can be a better dad. That's like the mantra I was repeating to myself the whole time. And I got it, dude. And I experienced like a sort of death, like a personal death. As weird as that sounds, I remember I was laying on the ground. I guess I'll back up a minute. When I first got there, I was super fucking negative. That's just how I've been the majority of my life. I'm like, why the fuck am I here? Fuck these people, you know. But once again, I had a purpose. I was there for a reason.
So even though you had set up the trip for yourself, you knew you were going there for a reason.
And I got there and I was sitting there like, why the fuck am I here?
Yeah.
And I was just a negative fucking person, man. Yeah, that's just who I was. And that's why I was fucking there. I was like, why am I thinking like this? You know, this is fucking ridiculous, but I had no control over it. So that second night, I was laying on the ground. The first night I was like, I just want to be away from everybody. I'm like, no one fucking talk to me. Everyone else is like together in this like longhouse looking thing.
Yeah.
And I grabbed my shit and I fucking went as far away as I could into like the darkness pretty much. And I found this little canopy thing. I set up underneath there. The fucking ayahuasca hit and I knew it. Like it was like a buzzing sound. I was like, bzzz, and I was like, oh fuck. And then I just like, I lost control of my body and everything. Luckily, like I was set up in a safe place. And I just went in, man. And the first part of that journey, I guess if you want to call it that, was I just started grabbing shit off of a bookshelf kind of. It was just topics. I'm like, Mom, let's work through that. Dad, let's work through that. Fucking shit. X, let's work through that.
This was night one?
This is night two.
Night two,
yeah. So like this point, like I fucking.
So night one was love yourself. The
second night is like, let's fucking do
happiness.
work. Let's do work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Let's get to the root of this shit. And so I just start tackling shit, you know, and you have a different perspective with it. You're just like, this is how it really is. It takes off your blinders and you see people for how they really are. And you see the world for how it really is. You know, everyone's realities are different. Yeah. Like the way I see the world is completely different than the way you see it. But so I do that. I work through my shit.
Yeah, I've heard people explain that it almost like it reveals to you the purest, most objective truth.
And it's true, man. And we as human beings, we censor that. So I deal with my shit. And then this is where shit got fucking weird, man. So I deal with my shit. I'm pretty confident with everything at this point. I'm like, cool. Like I feel I'm good with everything. You know, my parents, my ex, all this shit in life. Like I think I kind of worked through. I have answers now, you know? And then I remember falling over kind of. I was sitting up and I just like laid down and I'm in the fucking darkness in Colombia, like in the goddamn jungle. It's cold. It's raining. It wasn't freezing, but you know, it was colder. It was nighttime. It was raining. It was fucking dark, bro. Like I was laying on the ground, curled up in a ball. I have like, I'm getting hit with rain. But I remember seeing myself from an outside perspective. And I remember thinking to myself, like, what a miserable fucking person. But I had sympathy. I wasn't like angry or anything. I had sympathy for myself. I was like, fuck, man. Like
look at this.
Right. Like you've been through the fucking ringer, man. And like you were so determined to fucking defeat it that you got on a goddamn plane, went to fucking a different continent just to work on yourself. Like good for you, man. Like I had a lot of love for myself and sympathy for myself. But at the same time, while I'm going through those thoughts and emotions, I'm looking at myself from that third perspective, and I'm like, this person doesn't exist anymore. And that person fucking died that night. Like, from that point moving forward, then all of a sudden I wanted to be around the people at the retreat. I no longer wanted to be by myself. You know, I was more welcoming. I was more loving. I was more understanding.
Yeah.
And then on the fifth, so I go through a couple more ceremonies. Then on the fifth night, man, I'm laying there. And I just feel fucking great. I get this overwhelming feel of just like ambition and confidence. And that motherfucker is at full force now. And I'm like, fuck yes, here it is.
Yeah.
And I just get joy, man. And it's fucking funny. I start smiling, but I was so unused to smiling that like my face started to hurt, dude. You know, like but that just explains what kind of person I was.
Sure.
And I remember thinking, like, this is fucking it. This is who I am. Like, he's fucking here finally.
No shit.
And I still have my down times, you know, but I'm more aware of it now. Like I said, I got that mountain bike because I realized that I haven't been taking any time for myself. It's just been business and the kid. And I have more self-awareness now. But for the most part, man, like even this morning, I remember I was at the house by myself and I just started like smiling and laughing. Dude, that would have never happened before in my life, ever.
Man. So like you were able to basically somehow like just dissociate away from that negative part of you.
Yeah, man. So I think that dude served its purpose, you know.
You kind of realized that this guy, this other part of me, like it has no purpose. Like why is it even? Why? It was
kind of the kid, man. So yeah. I think that was kind of it. You know, I just turned 30, and they say that that's like when you transition into like adulthood. Really, you know, your 20s are you trying to figure shit out.
Yeah.
And then when you turn 30, that's when really everything you start to understand shit more. You start to understand yourself more. And I think it was kind of just timing, man. But that side of me was just a sad kid, dude. You know, I was so depressed. I started being I had to start seeing. I tried to see a counselor for like a couple weeks when I was 7 because I was like, I wanted to kill myself. I was a 7-year-old wanting to kill himself.
It was like a lifetime battle.
It's always been like this, man. Yeah. It's always been like that. And so that person, that's just who I was.
Yeah.
You know, so it was kind of like the kid, that sad fucking kid.
So you needed to be able to have that experience of being an outside observer, looking in on yourself and realizing this part of me is not, it doesn't
serving
need to
no
be
purpose.
there. It's not serving me.
Yeah, like
and then you were able to toss it aside.
Yeah, and I'm glad that person existed. It served its own purpose.
Protected you, probably.
It definitely protected me.
Yeah.
But also, it's kind of like what you're talking about with your parents. You want to be nothing like them, so you go out of your way to do the complete opposite. That's why you work hard. And I think it was the same thing. But with me, it was a little bit of that. You know, we grew up really poor and stuff like that, which I'm grateful for now. But
same.
You know, like I would never want any other way. But at the same time, the harder I worked, the better I felt. So I thought. Same thing with you, probably. Yep. You know, it's like, well, this is it. No, you're just distracting yourself. Yeah. But because I was such a miserable person, and I was like, hey, business is my outlet. The band is my outlet. Well, if I do this, I'm not as depressed anymore. So, you know, like Norse and stuff happened because of that. I started working out as, you know, I've always wanted to take pride in my body and to be bigger and stuff like that. But at the same time, I started working out because I was fucking suicidal. Yeah. That's why I started lifting weights. So if it wasn't for that, I probably would have never started lifting, or I would have never gotten to a band. You know, like everything in my life happened for a reason because of that person. But once again, I'm at a point now where it was no longer needed. You know, and I got asked the other day, someone's like, you know, if you could go back in time to talk to 21-year-old you, what would you say? And I said, I wouldn't say a single fucking thing. Like, keep doing your thing, bro. Like,
damn, that's how I always end my episodes, with that exact question. So fucking, there you go.
Oh shit. No, well, yeah. Like,
I'll think of a different one now for you.
There you go. But I wouldn't change a single fucking thing, because everything that has happened in my life happened for a purpose and in my benefit. And I think that's what people need to understand. And I didn't realize this up until fairly recently, but if you really take a step back and you look at all the bad shit that has happened, something positive has come through it. And that's something to remember when you're in that fucking pit of despair and you want to kill yourself or whatever. There is a fucking reason for this. I promise you, just fucking hang on there. Yeah. Claw your way out of it. Fight, kick, whatever the fuck you need to do. Get out of there, because I promise you your life will be better. And the reason you're dealing with this miserable fucking existence at that moment, it's serving a better purpose for you. As long as you keep your head up and you keep pushing forward, life will get better. You know, like your fucking girlfriend leaves you or some stupid shit like that, and you're like, oh, I'm just fucking miserable. She wasn't the fucking one for you, man. There's someone better for you. Like, it goes back to the positivity thing. You've got, like, no matter how bad it gets, you've got to try to keep a positive mindset, because that's the only way that you're going to get through it.
Yeah. A lot of times I'll think from the perspective of, all right, Dave, try to remember that, like, going through heavy, negative, bad shit or whatever is happening so that you appreciate the good shit more, you know? Yeah. And so, like, I tell myself that all the time. Like, sometimes you just have a shitty day. Like, it's like,
it happens,
it's fucking cold and rainy out. Like, I just stubbed my goddamn toe. This happened, that happened. It's like, but then I'll just take a second and, like, kind of I'll smile to myself and be like, dude, it's just going to make the next good day that much better.
Yeah,
you know,
man.
When I think about how much this day sucked dick.
Well, it goes back to what we were talking about with our childhood. You know, we both are grateful now for our upbringing, and it sounds weird because you're like, well, you had to I don't know, maybe someone that had like a better childhood. I don't know if those exist, but someone that had, you know, what would be considered a good childhood, and they never really had to deal with that kind of shit. And they're like, how are you happy for that? You know, like you grew up fucking poor with drug addict parents. I wouldn't be who the fuck I was if it wasn't for that. You know, like my dad, he never gave me a single fucking dime. And because of that, I've never had the urge to ask anyone for anything. I just put my head down and I worked until I made it happen. Yeah. And if I was given shit like a lot of kids are nowadays, there's not that. And as a parent, that's probably something that you struggle with as well. Is like, we want to give our kids the best life possible, but at the same time, we understand the benefit and value of not being handed everything and to have to work for stuff and to see the bad part of life. Yeah, it's definitely something that I grapple with, is like, to what extent do I create struggle for her? Because she needs some. Yeah. You know, like what? So she's 4, right? She's 4. That's how old my kid is. Yeah. Oh, dude. And you have a girl too. Yeah. Yeah. Got to get them together. Exactly. But like and I was talking to my buddy Stu Brower about this. I went on his podcast, Shoot the Shit. He owns WTF Gym Talk. He's like gym in New Jersey. No. So he's actually in Charlotte. He's he works as a consultant to micro gym owners and stuff. Cool. You guys had to have crossed paths at some point. Like, but he used to own a CrossFit affiliate. Then he de-affiliated or whatever. Now he owns his own concept and he's growing it. Yeah. But anyway, I was on his, and he has a 4-year-old little girl as well. And we were talking about, like, sometimes, like, you'll see like, oh, she's about to trip. And it's like, instead of run over there and swoop, let her fucking trip. Let her trip. You know, you got to let them experience that stuff, man. You got to let them fall that way they can get back up. Yeah. And going back to what I was saying, man, like, there's nothing that makes you appreciate a sunny day more than a fucking rainy, shitty day. Like I said, man, I went through a year of just despair, man. Like, I hated it. I couldn't snap out of it. But once I finally did snap out of it, I've never appreciated life more, man. I've never appreciated it more. Like I said earlier, I'm the luckiest dude ever, and I really think that I am. You know, like, I don't have everything. Like I said, I've been fucking single for a year. You know, I don't have the wife and shit that I would like, but at the same time, you guys, you ladies hear that? Single. But at the same time, like, my life's amazing, dude. Yeah. Like, I'm fucking very fortunate. But if you would have asked me that 6 months ago, I'd have been like, I'm missing this or whatever. It's like, no. That's not true. Well, you've definitely, I mean, you've created something for society that's valuable. Trying in your brand and in your gym and in your podcast. I mean, you're definitely, I hate saying lucky, right? Because you've created that for yourself, right? But I see where you're coming from. I mean, you have an amazing opportunity in front of you as well to really take what you've built and expand it and do a lot of good, even more so. So what is, like, for you with Norse Fitness, Norse Compound, the Norse Mentality, the whole Norse brand, which, but I don't know how many times I can say it, but I fucking love the brand. Like, I love, just everything about it. Thank you. Like, what is what's the future? Like, what are the goals, or do you approach it more from, like, we're just going to see where it goes and live every day? No, I definitely have. I think it just, so you said you're writing a book. I'm working on a book as well. Are you really? Yeah, I sat down with the team yesterday and I was like, all right, so we're focusing on this for the next couple months. And then once August rolls around, I'm disappearing. Like, I've got to knock out this fucking book. I've had it in the back of my head for years now. I know exactly what it needs. I just need time to actually devote to it. So, Can you give us any hints about what it's going to be called? Norse Mentality. Okay. So it's going to be like, there's a million of them now, but I think this is going to be different. So if you look at it, Have 'em All, which is, it's taken from Old Norse lore, but it's like Words of the High One, which is Odin. And it's pretty much just like 100 and something fucking lessons for life written apparently by Odin. But you look at them and they completely apply to your life. Yeah. And that's kind of the way I go back to with the Norse mentality. Before I even put 2 and 2 together like that, I understood something about the sagas and stuff like that. Like, I took value from it from a mental perspective. So when I look, there's lessons in there is what I'm trying to say. And I want to take those lessons, and because of the shit that I've dealt with my life as far as depression and just trying to be the best person possible, I want to take that information and put it into, unfortunately, another fucking, if you want to call it self-help book or whatever. But I think it really will be a little bit different because it's coming from my perspective. You know, I've been there. I've dealt with it. I know the tools. Mm-hmm. And I want to put them into a lesson, or I want to put them into a book that will help other people. But at the same time, I'm taking it literally from a fucking source that was written over 1,000 years ago. And I'm like, this is what Odin fucking said. This is how you apply it to your life. You know, and even so, it's funny. First, I read the Havamal numerous times. I never picked up on this, but the very first stanza on the very first fucking page, and I saw this back in August, right after I talked to the counselor, the first stanza is something along the lines of like, learn to love yourself because you can't rely on anyone else to do it. Like when you think about fucking Vikings and Norse and shit like that, you don't think about people saying that they need to love themselves. But literally the first fucking word from Odin apparently was you need to learn to love yourself.
Yeah.
So that's, and if anyone takes this idea, I'm going to fucking kill you. But, you know, but either way, that's the idea of the book is the Norse Mentality. So the podcast is pretty much, that's the name of the podcast as well. The Norse Mentality Podcast is pretty much just like the building blocks to the book. So I think that's kind of where it's going to go. You know, we're going to continue putting out kick-ass clothing and strength accessories, and we're going to really focus on fight gear and stuff as far as the brand goes. Nice. You know, I really want to get into the fight world. But we're just going to keep doing our things in that direction. But we're also, I don't know if you want to call it personal branding or whatever of the sort, but I'm really going to take these tools and shit that I've learned and just push it in another perspective. So with the podcast, with the book, so it's just a byproduct now. You know what I mean? Like we've always had that mindset and the mentality and the basis of the brand. And now I'm really just going to kind of put it into more avenues to get it out there to people. Does that make sense?
That makes sense, man. Yeah. I love that you want to get into the fight game too.
Yeah. I've been doing Muay Thai for the past year, and I fucking love it. And also, like, when you think about Norse, you don't think about fucking powerlifting or strongman. You think about that bad motherfucker that is going out there that can run the fucking mountain, that can beat your ass, that can fucking outdrink your, you know, like, you're just thinking of that well-rounded, functional fucking person. And I think that's something that we lack nowadays, especially in the fitness world, is, and I've been there too, and I think everyone has, we get so center focused on one thing. But then you have people that deadlift 800 pounds that can't walk up a flight of stairs.
Right.
Like,
so you're saying that we should do CrossFit?
Yeah, exactly.
But no, I get what you mean.
Yeah, like, you know,
functionality is important.
Like you need to lift weights, but I think you also need to fucking meditate. You know, I think you need to meditate, and I also think you need to go out there and fucking do some sort of martial arts.
I'm going to start doing yoga. I was just talking to.
I'm going today.
The instructor
as soon as
here.
we get done here.
Yeah, I mean, I like the older I get, the more I feel like. Because I've been a meathead so long. Yeah. And like, I love that. I absolutely love it.
Oh yeah. It's never going to change,
but it's never going to change. But I feel as though I've lost functionality, you know, and like, it's funny because this kind of is why I was cracking up at your Viking video too. It's like, I know so many like huge jacked guys that wouldn't be able to fight, you know, if their life depended on it.
That's what I mean. So, you know, you have
they're going to pull something or fucking, you know.
You had the whole the podcast itself is based around being a man and stuff. You need to be the best man possible, and that means mentally and physically, but then also, like, you need to be able to run up a fucking flight of stairs.
This is why I love Tim Kennedy's stuff.
Oh, yeah, man. He's just a well-rounded motherfucker.
Fires on all cylinders.
And that's how everyone should strive to be. And for some reason, it's just not stressed enough. Yeah. And really up until fairly recently with myself, when I started Muay Thai, I've always wanted to get involved in martial arts. But I just never could find the right coach. And then I found one, and I'm obsessed with it. But that doesn't mean that I stopped working out. You know, I still lift weights. I still do Muay Thai. Yeah. Now I'm riding fucking mountain bikes or I'm hiking the fucking mountain. And I'm doing yoga. Like, you need to be a well-rounded individual, and you need to take care of yourself in every way possible. And that means defending yourself. That means, you know, just health in general, stuff like that. And I don't know. I guess whenever it comes to Norse, we start off as like a powerlifting brand because that's what I did. But like I said earlier, as I evolve as a person, Norse does as well. And now I really want to kind of throw that out there to people. Like, I want our customers to be the person that can fucking fight and also deadlift 700 pounds.
Yeah.
You know?
So is that like getting involved in the fight game? Is that like rash guards and stuff? Or
yeah, so we have rash guards in production. We've done them in the past, but then I stopped. And we have fight shorts in production as well. There's like training shorts. But I want to get into gloves and stuff as well. It's just, but it goes back to the same thing with the knee sleeves. You know, like, I've been testing out samples and they're fucking garbage. And I'm not going to put my name on something that isn't the best quality possible.
Right. Are you working with any fighters?
Yeah. So we sponsor Andres Gustafsson over in Sweden. He's a pro MMA fighter. We just brought on this dude named Corey.
Wait, that's different from the Gustafsson that fought John Jones, right? Is that Alexander Gustafsson?
No. I think it's probably a
different guy.
One. Yeah.
Okay. I was about to be like, holy shit.
No, but I mean, this dude's like, I think he's got
legit.
he's only lost one. I think it was a tie. And then the other time he's just been like fucking, I think he's on like 6 pro fights and he just beats ass, you know?
Nice.
And then we got this new name, Corey. And so we are bringing on more like athletes. But that's the thing, like Norse doesn't have a lot of athletes. We have 10 total, you know, and I'm never going to probably have over 20 at once. Even if this brand gets to fucking, you know, big, I will probably only still have 20 fucking athletes.
Yeah.
Because it's not, I don't like the idea of bringing on a bunch of people to grow my company. Like, that's my responsibility. Your responsibility is to perform and to not fucking worry about a goddamn posting schedule for Instagram.
Right.
You know, so, and also they got to fit the brand. Like, you've got to have the mindset already. And a lot of times they have to already be a customer. Why the fuck would you want to support? Why would you want to be a part of something that you don't already support? That's why I don't understand with this whole fitness fucking Instagram shit.
I deal with that so much, man, because I was telling you I interview people
for First Form.
And it blows me away the number of people that I'll go to interview, and you know, one of the first questions I ask, you use our products, what's your favorite product? Oh, I haven't used them before. Like,
why do you want to be a part of this?
You want to represent something you have never used?
I don't understand it, man. But it's either. So, I mean, we get probably 10 messages a day on Instagram of people being like, you know, asking for a sponsorship. And I look and they're like just some fucking dude that goes to Gold's Gym that doesn't even follow our fucking page. And it's like, why are you so desperate for that? It's a label, man. Like, that's all it's not necessarily the handout.
A status thing.
Yeah.
Which really means jack shit.
It doesn't mean a goddamn thing.
Yeah.
You know, and especially when you have other brands that they have 1,000, so many goddamn athletes and ambassadors and all this shit, and they don't know who the fuck you are. If the owner of the company doesn't know who his athletes are, you're representing the wrong fucking company.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's important. That's a good point, man. And I like what you said about like growing the company is my responsibility.
Yeah. I'm not going to whore them out.
Yeah. So are most of your athletes strongman powerlifter types?
We got
now?
Yeah. So, you know, I started off with powerlifting and strongman, and we got a couple fighters now, and then we have a couple Olympic weightlifters and a couple Highland people. So it's really like it's across the board.
I love Highland stuff, dude.
Oh, it's so sick, man. But it goes back to primitive. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I love any shit like that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Like I want to learn, I want to start doing mace stuff and shit like that. Like, cause
I can help you with that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd appreciate that. Because I'm trying to expand out of my fucking, you know, bodybuilder, powerlifter sort of ways. Yeah. And, you know, kettlebell stuff, mace stuff, you know, a lot of it is definitely seeing and listening to Rogan and, you know, all the stuff he does and everything. I'm like, why don't I do more functional shit?
Well, that's kind of what I was getting to earlier as well. Like,
dude's in his early 50s and he's probably more athletic than me.
God damn, dude.
He's also mobility. TRT, HGH, fucking
whatever else, multi-millionaire that can get anything he wants.
Anything. But and he will do anything. Like he experiments on himself, you know.
Yeah.
Which is probably what I would do if I were that rich too. But yeah, man, and it's an important point that as a man, it's our responsibility to be like. I kind of was thinking about this the other day, like. I'm laying in bed, you know, I got my daughter in the house and like, you know, everything that I own in the house, the value to me, I'm like, somebody broke in right now and I couldn't get to one of my guns or whatever. Like, how confident am I that I could actually fight them and protect my daughter and protect everything, you know, I own? And it's like, well, not that confident, actually, especially if they're trained in some discipline, you know, like I'm a big guy and that's it. Right. Like, you know,
maybe you could scare
better
them,
hope
hopefully.
I'm bigger than them. But, and then even if they know like jujitsu, it doesn't matter if I'm bigger. So I'm like, shit. So I'm going to start doing, and I'm going to do it with my daughter too.
Awesome.
I've been in touch with a place, jujitsu place, start taking her and myself.
Do they take your kids?
Yeah. So 4 is the,
Where's that
at? Still. So Charlotte Jiu-Jitsu I was in touch with.
Okay.
And they're super nice.
Yeah.
DM'd with them back and forth a little bit. But yeah, I think it's important that like.
I think the daughter has to do it because I've thought about it with Genevieve as well. Like as a father, you want your kid especially your daughter, to be self-reliant 100%.
And especially like something like jujitsu, where it teaches you
where if they're on the fucking
leverages
ground with
and-
a dude on top of them, they can get them off confidently.
Yeah, and a bigger person,
Yeah.
like that doesn't matter, because you take size out of the equation because you know how to manipulate the body and utilize leverages and all that stuff. And so, I want to do that. And I think that as a man, like it's part of the job description, dude. Like you provide and protect.
Well, once again, man, it goes back to that whole I work out some of Viking thing. But it's the same idea. We have people that fucking work out and they think that they're Johnny fucking Bravo or whatever the hell, like the manliest man ever. You just work out. You're supposed to work out.
Right.
Like for anyone listening, you need to work out. That doesn't make you fucking special.
It's like, congrats, you do what
you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Right. Like you're supposed to work out, but you should also learn how to defend yourself. Mm-hmm. Like I do all this shit, but I don't like brag about it or anything. It's just what I'm supposed to do.
Right.
It doesn't make you special. But I'm not trying to like downgrade anyone that might like whatever. But
you're not a Viking.
Even outside of that, you're just as a man, you're just supposed to fucking be able to do this shit. But now we have but now it's like, well, if you work out, you're doing more than most men. So it's like we get this little badge of honor where we're like, well, I'm already doing more than most people.
Good point. Yeah.
Who gives a fuck? Yeah. Like just because you're doing more than 95% of the population doesn't mean fucking shit, because you can still be doing more yourself. Yeah. Like stop looking for validation from outside sources and just look at yourself. Can I be doing more? Am I using my time as valuable as I should be? No, then fucking do more.
The answer to that's always no.
No.
For me. Like I'm just always like, if I'm honest with myself, am I maximizing how efficient I can be as a human? Am I doing everything I should be to be the best possible man I can? The answer is, if I'm honest with myself, it's always no.
And it always should be.
Right. Otherwise, there's no impetus to progress. Right?
Well, even when it comes to like work and stuff, so one of the people I really admire is Kevin Hart.
Yeah.
Like I think Kevin Hart is the fucking man. It's always like between The Rock and Kevin Hart. Most people say The Rock. In my book, like Kevin Hart's the fucking man. But he's got a show actually on Netflix. I don't watch a lot of TV, but on nights I don't have my kid or just the last 30 minutes, I might fucking chill out.
I think I've watched that.
So it's called like Don't Fuck This Up.
Yeah.
But the dude's fucking work ethic is through the roof.
He gets after
and honestly, like that's been a motivator for me, because I've watched this fucking show and I'm getting psyched up. If you're gonna watch something that gets you fucking motivated.
Yeah. He's set for life. He doesn't have to work.
But he's not gonna stop either.
Right.
And that's I watched him. I'm like, dude, you're not busy. Like you could be doing so much more. Referring to myself.
Right.
And he thinks the same fucking way. He probably looks at someone else and it's like, this fucking person's outworking me. It's never enough. You can always do better.
Of course.
It's like you said.
And people are probably listening to this being like, well, earlier you guys were saying like take time for the stuff that makes you happy and all that. It's like, yeah.
That's part of it.
That's part
of the work.
That is part of it. Right.
Yeah.
You have to look at your mental health and happiness as a part of the equation of maximizing your productivity.
Well, you're an entrepreneur. You've been in the game longer than I have. You're much more successful than I am with it. And you've known a lot of people that put their health on the back burner in pursuit of the business. Well, I don't have time for this.
Myself included.
I don't have time for this. And I've done the same thing. I'll start eating like shit, instead of fucking meal prepping, I'll start eating some pizza. I'm like, well, I'm just too busy to fucking eat right.
I have fallen into that in the last few days.
There you go. And it happens.
I had that honest conversation with myself this morning. I'm like, look, motherfucker, like you
have no excuse.
Yeah. And especially like when you're supposed to represent a certain thing as part of your business. But even still, man, like this morning I ate fucking 2 sausage biscuits because I was in a hurry and I didn't want to fall off on my protein number. I of course I found a way to justify it to myself.
Yeah. No, we always do.
But really, I'm like, you're being an asshole.
You're being an asshole, and we all do that. And that's the thing too. So like, I think that's something important to stress on as well, is when you fuck up, just realize that you fuck up and that's human nature, and then just get back on the horse and keep fucking riding. Like, don't stay down there for long. If you fuck up on your diet, okay, well, you fucked up. You realize it, do better the next day. But what I was getting to with the business thing was, it's very popular with entrepreneurs or parents in general and just people is, oh, I don't have enough time, or this is the priority, so I'm going to let my health suffer. Well, the more that your health suffers, the less that you're performing mentally. If you're fucking fat and you don't have energy, that's less cylinders that your brain's firing on, which means less business ideas, which means less fucking money that you're making, the less business that you're growing. When you're optimized mentally and physically, your business and every other aspect of your life is going to improve.
100%. Yeah.
And as business owners, they neglect that, man.
Yeah. If you're a parent saying you don't have time to work out because you
work out with your kid,
you're a parent,
get your kid in there.
It's an injustice to your kid. You're not being the best parent you can be. You need to take care of yourself physically. You need to be healthy.
Me and my kid have always gone on walks. That's just what we've done. As soon as before she could walk, she was in the stroller. When she could start walking, she started walking with me. Like, at night we walk around the neighborhood.
Yeah.
It's just what we do. It's what we've always done. You can do that with your kid. Anyone can. Instead of watching fucking Netflix at night, turn off the TV, go outside and walk.
Yeah. And believe it or not, guys, you can walk in the dark. You can walk at night.
You can.
Activity doesn't have to end.
You also don't have to wear a mask when you do it.
Yeah. No, please don't. Please
but even with kettlebells,
don't.
Get a kettlebell. My kid, she's got this little 5-ounce kettlebell or some shit.
Yeah.
And like, I have a kettlebell at the house. If I just need to get a quick workout in or whatever, I do it. But because my kid sees me doing it, she starts simulating. That's why she has a little kettlebell, is because she was grabbing a remote or some shit and trying to fucking do the same workouts with it. So it's like, as a parent, I think every parent realizes it to a certain extent, but like, your kid is looking at you for all the answers. And especially young man, they're sponges.
All the time.
It
doesn't, like, that was something for me that really kind of hit me as a parent, was that it's all the time.
Doesn't stop.
I've got to always remember she's watching what I'm saying and doing and my behaviors and everything.
They simulate it, man.
Yes. And it's a big fucking responsibility, but you have to realize that, like, if she were with me when I were grabbing those sausage biscuits, a little part of her is knowing, okay, it's okay to grab sausage biscuits.
She wasn't with you, was she?
No.
Which is why you went and did it.
Yeah, of course.
That's what I was saying. Like, on days I don't have my kid, it's a lot harder for me to get out of bed in the morning.
Yeah. Dude, so this is something I've tried to do. About a week ago, I started having this conversation with myself, and it was do everything as though Carter's watching. Right?
Yeah.
And that's even this podcast, even anything I post on social media, anything that I do, I need to remember that one day my daughter's going to see it.
Yeah.
So right now, presumably she's going to hear these words, and a lot changed for me when I started to really think about it that way.
You said that was in the past week, right?
In the past week. And I mean, I've kind of like,
you've always had that in the back of your
head.
The
realization, like, yeah, she's going to see my content one day. But like, truly be like, right now I'm thinking about Carter listening to this. And it really does shift your perspective. And I think that, not to get too deep, but, that's kind of the purpose that religion serves for a lot of people, is like, if they think God's watching, they're going to fuck up. They're going to do things differently. Right. And if you, not that you should always live your life like someone's watching, but at least think about that a little bit and be like, well, what would such and such think right now? Someone that means a lot to you, and doesn't even have to be an authority figure. Like, I literally think about my daughter because I'm an example to her. So
just because you don't have a kid, there's someone else that you are a role model to someone. It goes back to that. Like, I fucking promise you, someone looks up to you. Someone cares about you.
Yeah. And think about that, man. Think about there's some human that looks up to you and be like, what would they think if they saw me doing this right now?
Well, it goes back to what I said earlier as well. And that just completely like nails that down, is we don't care about ourselves enough not to eat the fucking sausage biscuit in the morning.
Right.
But we do. Not a lot of people do. There are some people that are just like fucking studs that like, they do it all for themselves, and that's fucking cool. But for the majority of us, we need that outside person when we see that's affecting someone else. So if your kid was in the car, you probably would have thought twice about getting the fucking sausage biscuit this morning. And that's what I mean, is there's always, we don't care about ourselves enough to do better. Yeah. Not at least to the full extent, but whenever other people, it affects them, we try harder.
Yeah. Well, because I think a lot about this particular topic for whatever reason. And, how there will be these videos of like a day in the life of, and I'm like, man, if somebody was following me around for a day in the life video, it would absolutely not be an accurate representation of a day in my life, because I would be performing for them. Yeah. And it's unavoidable. You're going to live life differently if somebody's watching you all the time.
Who the fuck was that? I saw someone the other day and they framed it just like that. They said, imagine someone's following you around with a camera all day. Mm-hmm. And they were referring to that exact thing. I mean, that's and I think everyone can relate to that because we see it all day now. I mean, the whole influencer bullshit.
Like Gary V stuff.
It might have been him that fucking said it.
He literally lives like that. Like
with someone
follows
and you can guarantee it's a motivator.
Of course, dude. Oh, God. Could you imagine if really there was a cameraman documenting your whole life that followed you fucking around?
I would definitely probably work out a little bit harder.
I'd masturbate a lot less.
Oh, yeah. Way less.
Like, dude, sorry, I need another 15 minutes. I'll be back.
Right.
But
that's something I want to talk about real quick. So this might be a little bit too weird, but since you already got weird, let's go and talk about it.
Right.
So masturbation. I've been doing that fucking no fap thing for the past like 15 days.
And?
It's amazing. I think everyone should try it. Yeah, so it's like it's amazing across every way possible I can think of.
Okay, elaborate on that.
So it's definitely hard if you're on TRT. You know what I mean? Which I am. Like I just minimum 200 milligrams a week, but either way, like your shit's through the fucking roof. Either way, you know what I mean? And it was definitely hard the first week because all I wanted to do was fucking do the damn thing, you know? But for one, it's self-discipline. You know what I mean? Whenever you can conquer that like thing that we've been doing since we were fucking 9 or whatever. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like it brings a whole other level of self-discipline. But also the part that I find interesting, and this might be some woohoo bullshit that some of your listeners are going to be like, what the fuck is he talking about? But that life force energy, only men have that. And apparently the idea behind it, they've been talking about this for thousands of years in different religions and whatnot. But men have that life force energy, and whenever you masturbate or whatever, you're fucking releasing that, and you're actually like, some people actually say that like it's part of your soul's fucking going away. I don't believe that, but you do, and I've realized it myself, my energy and productivity has shot through the fucking roof. And it's not because I just masturbate all the damn time and I have more time on my hands now, but...
You don't think it's a placebo at all?
No, dude. No, I really don't. You know, as far as like the life force energy and shit, I don't fucking know about that. I don't give a shit enough about it. Yeah. But at the same time, you also just stop thinking about that kind of shit not as much. You know what I mean? But it's also kind of lit a fire underneath my ass. Like I said, I've been single for like a year now. I haven't talked to a chick. I've just been working on myself. But at the same time, it's like if you just fucking rub one out real quick, you're like the urge to go meet a female or a partner, it just kind of goes away. And that's kind of what I was doing. But the past 2 weeks, even today, man, it kind of lit a fire in my ass. It's like, dude, like you're lonely. You know, and maybe you don't need a relationship because I'm not ready for that. But at the same time, like you need to go fucking talk to some chicks. Like you need to make that more of a priority now. Right. And that has forced me to do that.
Interesting.
But yeah, my productivity, man. Like I wake up, I'm in a better fucking mood. So
you're in a better mood.
I'm in a way better mood.
I'm like, I don't know, man. I think I'd be cranky.
Well, that's the thing is and this is kind of what I realized, and then I read something about it as well, and I'm like, okay, so it makes sense. You're what the fuck am I thinking of? Whenever you're fucking on Instagram, I was just talking about it.
Dopamine?
Your dopamine. So your dopamine levels, you start to enjoy different aspects of life more because you're not wasting your dopamine on stupid shit like jerking off or getting on fucking Instagram. So I limit social media as it is. Like my phone it's blocked up until noon. I get on there real quick. I check my messages, whatever the business stuff, and I get off. I don't spend a lot of time on it.
Good for you, man.
Thank you. But once again, I'd started doing it because of mental shit.
Yeah.
You know, I actually deleted social media for 7 months, and I just made it again a couple months ago. Like I completely got rid of it. I had like 10,000 fucking followers, and I just got rid of all
That's
that.
Not the Norse one though.
No, that one's always been there. But my personal, like I was at the bottom of I was at the end of my rope, and I just like I caught myself putting on a front.
Yeah. Sorry, you guys might hear there's a little class in the little martial arts room. They might hear a little bit of the kids yelling and stuff. Sorry about that.
Just brings a little bit of joy into your life.
That's right.
But yeah, I was putting on this front. Like I was fucking miserable. I wanted to kill myself. But then you look online and Andy's all happy and fucking jolly and life's perfect. Yeah. And I was like, for some reason I felt the urge that I needed to put this out there. And I was like, no, like I don't. Like I need to work on my fucking self.
Right.
So I just permanently deleted all of it.
Good. Yeah. And that's, I've actually gotten some shit for this because I'm a fitness person's, but whatever, like you're supposed to be motivational because I talk about the bad days, man. I talk about like when I fucking
makes you human
when I'm depressed or like, I for a period of time I was talking a lot about shadow work, which is,
I've been reading a lot about that lately.
Yeah. And people are like, man, that's not what I follow you for. I'm like, well, fucking go unfollow me. Like, I'm a human, and I'm showing you every aspect of the human condition.
Yeah, sorry, I'm not a fake motherfucker like everyone else on the internet.
Because I'll tell you that person that's only showing you positivity, that's a goddamn lie.
Bullshit, man. Everyone deals with it. Fucking everybody.
Yeah. Going back to NoFap though, if you, I'm not done with this shit. I'm
surprised I'm fucking talking about this. I haven't said anything to anyone. Now I'm telling everybody.
There we go. Hey, single ladies out there too. What's up?
What up?
He's aware now of the fact that he might need to be talking to you. But if you don't mind me asking, and if it's too much information, don't,
No, we've already went too far.
All right. Well, before you started NoFap, like how many times were you doing it a day?
I don't know, man. Like not all the damn time. I definitely I had self-control over it, but I don't know, maybe like once a day, maybe once every couple of days, some shit like that. Pretty much whenever I was getting stressed out. And I think everyone does that maybe, when I was stressed out or if I was feeling lonely or anything of the sort, that was the coping mechanism once again. So I think people need to be aware. I'm not even talking about fucking jerking off at this point. I'm talking about like we all have coping mechanisms that whenever instead of dealing with our shit, we pull out. And I'm
a lot of people, it's the phone, dude.
Yeah, and I'm guilty. And honestly, but now I use it. So now if I'm like, say if I'm just knocking out a bunch of work and I'm like, fuck, I'm kind of just like burned out. I'll pull out my phone now, but I use it as a fucking tool, and it kind of like releases that dopamine. And I was like, cool, I kind of want to work more now. Yeah. So instead of using it as a distraction, I actually use it as a tool, and that's something that I've been doing the past week or so. Before that, I was probably jerking off, but either way, like
instead of pulling out your phone, you pull out your dick.
Or
hey, man.
But, or either it's fucking alcohol. They grab the beer from the refrigerator. We all have things instead of dealing with our shit. We have a fucking coping mechanism that we've been doing for God knows how long. And we're not dealing with our shit because of that. We're just distracting ourselves more. So, have some self-awareness and realize when you're doing this shit and stop. If it's getting out your phone or fucking drinking or jerking off, whatever it is, stop.
So you're I mean, not even like what I would consider a lot, like once every
No, it definitely wasn't a lot.
But just going from that to not doing it has created a noticeable difference for
Holy fuck. Yeah, I'm only on like, I don't know, maybe day 12 or some shit.
Yeah,
but
I should try it.
They say like 30 days. If you can do it for 30 days, you were like apparently a fucking different person. And I would say I'm about halfway through, and I definitely feel like a different person, man.
Now, if you do the NoFap thing, are you allowed to have real sex?
So those are two different things. But it's kind of the same concept. Like you want to retain, it depends on the way you're looking at it. You know what I mean? Like if you're trying to do the whole life force energy thing or whatever the fuck it is, if you're just trying to like really take advantage of that masculine, which then no sex. But if you're just trying to like not be the fucking loser jerking off, let's be real, like no dude jerks off and they're like, fuck, I'm a man. You're like, God damn it. You know what I mean? Like
I gotta clean this up.
It's almost self-defeating, but it's like it's acceptable.
Yeah.
So I guess maybe that's something too that has helped mentally is like I just have more confidence and I'm just like happier of a person because I'm not fucking resorting to some shit like that. And at the same time, like every day that I don't do it, something I've been doing my entire life, the more that I don't do it, the more I'm like, fuck yeah, man. Like you're killing it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's another notch on the belt, dude. It's just something else. And I like to create challenge. Every 30 days I try to create a different challenge for myself where like I do something different, where I try to eliminate a bad habit every 30 days. You know what I mean? And that's always kind of been, I've been doing that for years now, but maybe this month is just this month is just no beating off, I guess. It's rough, man. The first week or two is fucking hard, but then it does get easier. Now you stop caring about it as much. You start putting that, instead of focusing on fucking or whatever, you just start actually focusing on your business. And I think that might be where like the extra energy comes from, because really you just stop wanting to do it as much. You don't really even think about it. You're just like, well, I'm just going to focus on this instead.
Yeah, that's wild. I think I'll have to do like I'll have to take like a couple days to like get it all out and then just go for my 30 days.
I started on my birthday. So my 30th birthday.
Oh shit.
I was like, all right, dude.
You just turned 30?
I just did last week or some shit.
Happy birthday, man.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Yeah, man. And that's weird to me that not doing it makes you want or makes you think about sex less. It's
not a fucking priority. And the fact that we make it a priority is kind of fucking like...
Well, that's biological, man.
Yeah, it is biological to a certain extent. Yeah. But I've been thinking about this as well with the whole... That's how I like to look at everything. I mean, my brand is focused on shit that happened fucking thousands of years ago. Mm-hmm. But I try to look at everything from a evolutionary standpoint. And it's like, I don't really think people were jerking off all the fucking time. I think they were fucking. They were fucking. If you weren't fucking, you just weren't doing it really.
Yeah, if you weren't fucking.
Yeah, I don't think they were sitting around the cave just jerking, like whatever. But yeah.
Well, that's more like the bonobo lifestyle.
Yeah. But
more like chimpanzees.
Right, exactly. But you have to look at it from that perspective. And it's like we went out of our way more to produce and that survival instinct and stuff like that. So you're 100% right. It is a survival instinct. Yeah. But at the same time, I think we've, like everything else nowadays, we've let it get out of hand.
Well, I think a big part of it as well, man, is like historically, for most of the existence of our species, the majority or all of our time was occupied by surviving.
Survival,
the actual fucking act of surviving.
And now we don't know how to do it.
We don't
know how to cope now because of it.
And we have too much fucking time on our hands.
Yeah, life is too easy.
Too much comfortable time. Like we don't have to wake up each day and worry about, am I going to fucking kill a caribou or am I going to, like we don't have to worry about any of that shit. So it's just like, well, I'm sitting around, what am I going to do? Oh, there's my dick. Like
I kind of feel bad right now. Maybe I'll just jerk off and feel better for a second.
Right. Like it's dude, when you and there's like studies that have shown this, like these people who still live more of a primitive lifestyle where
they're happier.
They're so much happier.
They don't have depression issues.
Not like we do, man. No. And I think there's something for that in that your time is just already occupied with the act of surviving and living and just existing as a fucking human and doing all those things that you just feel naturally compelled to do. Whereas now we're under artificial lights looking at screens with, as much food as we fucking want. And we're not having to be active and so like, and then the other stuff comes like jacking off all the fucking time. And I truly think that it's just because you got time to do it.
Well, they say that one of the reasons that we feel that we get satisfaction from it is because in our brain we think that we just fucking impregnated some bitch. And we didn't, And
by some bitch, he means a nice lady.
A nice lady.
Because we love women.
We do. But, yeah, it's in our brain, a part of us that's survival and things like, cool, we just made another kid.
Right.
No, dude, you're just sitting in your room by yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when you start looking at it from that perspective, you're like,
you have that release, right? Like right after you nut, it's like, you have that little like dope, like that, and it's like mission accomplished, right? And we can't escape our biology. No, we just can't do it. So,
well, that's some of the issues nowadays. I think is that we have, instead of actually our survival instincts like fight or flight and stuff being triggered by a fucking lion chasing after us. Instead, it's just like over
triggered
stupid
shit.
Twitter or fucking getting cut off in traffic or some stupid shit like that. And then we don't know how to calm ourselves back down.
Are
you road rager?
I'm so bad, dude. And part of it is TRT. But I get so fucking mad. Like I just want to fucking fight.
That's one of the things I never had, man. I don't really give a shit. It doesn't bother me.
I have to actively try not to.
Yeah.
It's a daily battle.
Tech support is mine. I had to call fucking someone yesterday, and as soon as I have to call someone, I hear the fucking voice. You're like, please hold. My blood pressure shoots through the roof.
I can't. Everything. I just hang up. I can't do it, man. Same thing with like long lines. I hate long lines. Like I just it goes back to like knowing what pisses me off and doing what makes me happy, and I just I can't do it. I'm like, man. I know I need to get this thing that I got to stand in line for, but I
would rather order off Amazon and be delivered in 2 days.
Dude, yeah. The act of standing in that line is going to do so much bad for my mental health right now.
Oh, dude, my day was fucked yesterday because I had to call, and I was on fucking hold for like 2 hours, and my whole day was fucked. Actually, that's why I went mountain bike riding last night. I was like, I got to do something, and it snapped me out of it. But yeah, like if I put that kind of shit off too, because I'm like, if I do this, it's going to fuck up my day.
Yeah. Dude, another thing I just thought about with the jacking off stuff is I'm intrigued by this. So another thing we don't have to worry about now is like being attacked by a fucking predator, right? So like if you're living in the wild as a prehistoric human or whatever, like if you're sitting there jacking off and a fucking saber-toothed tiger comes along, like you're fucked, bro. So like
you got your dick out, like what are you supposed to do?
What are you gonna do? We're safe now. So like that's another reason
why we're doing it.
Yeah, dude. I think
we're not surrounded by people all the time. Like we are more alone than we've ever been in our life.
Yeah, which is weird because we're so connected.
But we're connected in a false fucking reality, man. Yeah. And that's why I think people don't know how to do it. Like I was saying earlier, we haven't been able to cope yet. Like,
dude, you see it at the grocery store. You just try to make eye contact with the cashier.
Oh, you can't look at people anymore, man.
Look down. Like, they don't want to look at you.
And that's weird in the South, man. Like, where did you grow up?
I grew up in North Carolina.
Okay, so I grew up in Florida, but it was like underneath Alabama, so like deep South.
Yeah.
You looked at people in the fucking eyes. That's it. But now even in the South, it's got to the point where if you look people in the eyes, you're like a fucking – they act like you're a goddamn serial killer or something, which I look like a piece of shit.
Well, same. They're like,
but
this guy doing?
But at the same time, it's just respect.
Yeah.
But also, I see it now with a lot of younger kids. Younger kids have the worst social skills. I'm very fucking worried almost. I know I am worried.
As a dad.
Yeah, but with my kid, I'm like, we limit TV time. You know, we might watch a movie every Friday night. We'll usually watch a movie, get like some pizza or some shit. But other than that, like we don't have a lot of screen time, and I'll make her interact with people. Like just naturally, my family, we're fucking hermits and we don't like other people.
Yeah.
But with my kid, I've realized she was the same way. Like just naturally as a young little girl, she fucking hated everybody. But I made her start talking to people. I'm like, say hi, you know, like ask them how you're doing. I make her have these social skills, and now she's a fucking social butterfly. But 2 years ago, she wasn't. But not enough people are doing that. It's like you go out to a restaurant, and instead of making your 8-year-old order his own food, he's got his fucking face buried in a tablet. You know, it's just,
bro,
we're fucking up, man.
You see it all the time, man. You'll see an entire family at a table. Everybody's on a device.
Yeah. You just can't fucking do it. So, I mean, I'm sure you limit your time on your phone when your kid's around. You know, like for me, like 5 o'clock, I pick up my kid from daycare, and usually I know I won't touch my phone from 5 to 8 at least. And then I might check it before I go to bed, but a lot of times I don't anymore. I'll tackle it noon the next day.
And it's really, and I try to just put it away when I'm with her, but
because they're going to remember that shit, dude.
Yeah.
They're going to remember it.
Well,
and then once again, they're going to do the same shit.
Right. It goes back to the fucking sausage biscuits. Like, she sees you on your phone. Like, you know, that's okay. Daddy does it, you know?
Right. So I'm going to do it.
I actually, I got a lot of insight on this from Seth Feroce. I was going back and forth with him, setting up, scheduling to have him on the podcast, but I was traveling to him. And then it was like a Saturday, and I mean, he was getting right back to me. We were going back and forth trying to figure shit out. And then, it's that evening, go to bed, wake up, and then like, I don't get a response all day Sunday. Nothing. Hear from him on Monday. Oh, Sundays are family day, dude.
Fucking love it.
Yeah. I was like, man, and this guy's a million times busier than me.
Oh, dude.
He's got so much more going on.
Is huge.
Yeah. I mean, fuck. And ever since then, I'm just like, man,
if this motherfucker can do it, so can I. And we both have probably done that in the past, especially whenever I first started the gym and all that stuff. It was, well, I'm working. You justify it with that shit. It's bullshit. Yeah. It's fucking bullshit. Prioritize your time better. Yeah. Whenever you don't have your kid, you know, like I said, noon to 5 is whenever the apps get unlocked on my phone. And when I'm on there, it's with intention. And then I fucking turn it off. Like, whenever you're scrolling, because if you own a business now, you use social media probably, at least if it's like a halfway successful business. You have to have social media.
You have to.
If you're fucking scrolling, you're not working. I don't give a shit how you justify it to yourself. You're not working.
Oh, I'm getting a feel for the market.
No, fuck you. No, you're not. No, you're bullshitting yourself.
Yeah. No, dude, and I'm guilty of it. Like, it's a battle for me because everything I do is through social for the most part.
Yeah.
And, when I'm marketing the podcast or trying to, get a guest for it or just trying to learn about a potential guest or just, making my own posts or fucking arguing with some social justice warrior, which I really have tried to limit.
I was already say, so that part right there, how is, is that really moving you forward?
No, it's not.
Right.
But I allow myself every once in a while to just go in and shit on somebody if they're potentially like really egregious. But for the most part, man, Joe Rogan uses this phrase, and ever since I heard it, I love it. He says, I post and ghost. I just put my shit out, and then
get the fuck off.
I put my shit out, and my shit is out there, and that's it. But I do like to reply to comments, especially supportive people and stuff. But you gotta limit that. You have to say, all right, I'm going to post it for the next 10 minutes. I'll be I'll reply if anybody, and then you just got to leave it. And then, I look at it again.
It's dealing with that anxiety. And I think that's what fucks people up is,
Yeah.
I think everyone at this point knows that social media is bad for them to a certain extent.
Well, for me, I was worried that people would think I didn't care because
Right.
I wasn't getting right back to them.
No, and then that's why you just talk about it on the fucking podcast or whatever, and you promote them to do the same thing. So we catch a lot of shit with that because the whole ban of modern culture thing. They're like, a ban of modern culture, but you use social media. Yeah, I mean, I guess social media can be considered a part of culture nowadays, but to me it's fucking not. It is a tool. It is the same as a goddamn telephone or a goddamn Raven with a note attached to it.
That's all semantics, man.
Right.
It depends on what you define as modern culture.
And to me, like, modern culture is what we're doing to men nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
That's modern culture, or society in general, how they're trying to make society weak. That's fucking modern culture, and I don't tolerate it. My brand is against that.
Or being offended at everything.
Right, the same thing. The victim mindset.
Yeah.
That's modern culture. That's what I'm against. Social media is a fucking tool. If you allow it to be a part of your life where you consider it culture, you have your own fucking problem.
Yeah,
I do
was
not.
about to say, like, that says more about that individual than you.
And that's, and I have to, like, really know where I stand on that because we post that kind of shit. And I understand to a certain individual, it's hypocrisy. It's like, well, you're doing this, but you're saying this, but then you're using this. And it's like, well, I'm very fucking confident where I stand with it, and to me, it's not. And if it did remotely interfere with my values or make me feel like I was being a fucking hypocrite, I wouldn't do it. But I don't. Like, my conscience is clear.
Yeah.
But it's because of the way I use social media. Right. It's a tool.
Yeah.
That's
and I think that, like you said, if somebody has gotten to the point where they define our culture by a technology,
you're the fucking problem.
You got your own set of issues.
Yeah. They're the fucking problem.
Yeah.
It will become that bad if enough people like you fucking have that mindset. Well, this is just how it is. No, that's not how the fuck it is.
Right.
It's a fucking false reality. And if you take this shit seriously, don't.
Yeah. It's easy for it to really kind of take over. And I had Jenna and Chris Fail on recently, and Jenna's a big fitness influencer. She has a big following, and we did the little thought experiment, like, what do you do if Instagram's gone tomorrow? And she was like, I don't want to think about that. And I think a lot of us, it's kind of like we have built. I mean, First Form was built on the back of Instagram. Yeah, on social
Same with
media.
Norse. Like I said, that's how we started taking off.
So I've started thinking more about, well, what would I do if all this stuff just disappeared? Because you have all these examples now of people with opinions that maybe aren't aligned with the mainstream, and they just get deplatformed. They just get canceled. And my Instagram got banned for like a month.
Did it?
No reason. They just disabled it. I had to fight, send messages to them constantly and plead to get my account back, and then they just turned it on again one day. But it's like you're at their mercy.
And that's what's fucking sad. So anyone that's listening, I would if they own a business or whatever, I would really encourage them to build an email list. So Norse has almost 10,000 people on the email list. I email it usually 2 to 3 times a week.
I need to get on it.
Dude, you have to, man. And businesses that aren't fucking using it, they're fucked. You own that email list. That is yours. Those are your customers. Those are your followers. You own that email list, not fucking Instagram, not Facebook. So, like, if Norse ever got deleted, I don't give a fuck. Honestly, like, if you ask me that question.
Just social media.
Yeah, like if Norse's Instagram got deleted, I'd be like, well, fuck. And then I would adapt and I'd survive. But at the same time, I have communication with all my fucking customers. There was a point.
What do you use for that? Is like MailChimp?
MailChimp, yeah. And luckily I started learning how to do it, how to properly write. So when I send out emails, it's as if I'm talking to a friend. Because if I'm talking to a customer, I'm going to talk to them like they're a fucking human being and not like someone I'm trying to sell.
Yeah.
But, I don't use a bunch of templates and fucking graphics or anything. It's just like I'm typing an email out to a friend. Yeah. And also, it's super easy to do. I did one this morning. I wrote something up and I pressed fucking send. But
I think I'm going to start doing that for the podcast.
You need to, man. Yeah. But any business owner or whatever, if they ask like, what would I do? Just go ahead and you need to have a backup plan, and having a mailing list is the closest thing to that as you can. But at the same time, if you're a retail person, up until about 6 months ago to a year ago, we were text messaging all of our customers. So if you place an order with Norse, you got a fucking video of me or whoever, like one of my staff members being like, hey, Jacob, thank you for placing an order with us. If you need anything, let us know. I could still easily pull out my fucking phone and start texting customers and be like, hey, and that's the thing is I would do that. Like if it came down to it, we had a big release come out and I didn't have social media anymore to get the word out. I'd send out an email and then I'd pull out my phone and start fucking informing my customers. Be like, hey, we just released some new stuff if you want to check it out.
Yeah.
So it's the whole adapt and survive thing, like.
And you have a gym. So like,
yeah, there's still another thing. But I had to deal with that during COVID. My gym was forced to shut down and it's like, what was I going to do? And very quickly, or here's a fucking perfect example. When the Arnold got canceled last year, I had 2 booths set up there. I was supposed to. We found out like 48 hours in advance before we were supposed to be there. Actually, I was supposed to leave the next day to go to Ohio. We found out that the Arnold was canceled. All my merchandise was up there, all this shit. So within
your merch was already there?
Yeah, it was already in Ohio. I already had Airbnb. I flew my buddy Runar in from Iceland and his wife. But immediately I was like, okay, cool. What do we need to do? Well, we have all this merchandise that we need to get rid of. Within 12 hours, we had a marketing video made and I had ads running. And then 2 weeks later, I see other businesses doing the same thing. Not because of us, but just because they waited so fucking long.
Yeah, they were 2 weeks behind.
Yeah, it's like you can't do that.
Yeah.
Always have another alternative. And if you don't, and that's the thing is like, that's the beautiful thing about the brain is whenever we're put into a situation, the survival fucking instinct, you can still use that if you can channel it correctly.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, man. But it's an interesting thing to think about is like how much we depend on these different platforms, for what we do.
I'm grateful for them, honestly.
Oh yeah.
Like my life would honestly not be as good as it is if it wasn't for social media. I would have figured something out. Like I've always had the entrepreneur like mindset, even when I was a kid. But my life is a lot easier because of social media, and I am grateful for it.
Oh, of course. And we can shit on it for many reasons, but it's made our lives better in many ways.
Once again, how do you view it?
Right, exactly.
How are you using it?
How are you using it? And you can fucking look at girls' booties all day and jack off, or you can do no-fap and build a business, and it's all about how you want to do it, man. Look, dude, I'm so grateful because nobody would know I fucking exist without social media, and nobody would be listening to this podcast, and nobody would, anything. So
go back to the positive. It goes back to the positive thing. I think this is something that you could relate on. The whole fucking thing now, especially the past year, is for everyone to be angry and fucking negative and all that. Like, be the fucking outcast. Be positive.
Yeah.
You're the perfect example of that, dude. Like, you do not post negative fucking shit. You're the guy holding up the fucking sign that 100,000 people are sharing.
Yeah.
And you're with a positive message usually. Sometimes it's political, but a lot of times you just have a very positive message. But you're an outcast because of that.
I was going to say, man, the craziest thing with that, like the first sign that went viral was "We can disagree and still be friends." And I wasn't trying to go viral. I put that out in response to when I got canceled with the mask video and I was losing all these clients and stuff. And I was just like, fuck, we can disagree and still be friends. And I just put it out. And the craziest thing with that, dude, like with how positive that message was, which, I mean, that's not a partisan message. It's like literally, hey man, we might disagree. I'll still be your bud.
Yeah.
People were fucking shitting on me in the comments. Just like, not if you're a white supremacist, you piece of shit. And like, fucking not when it comes to human rights, asshole. And I'm like, people are demonizing
They're missing the whole fact. They're missing the concept of it.
The whole thing. But then they're also like looking at how I look and then making judgments about me. And it's just like, it just reflects on the overall, like you were saying, just negative mood of society these days where everybody's just shitting on each other.
I've seen the past year, man, I've seen the most positive people I know turn into just negative, angry motherfuckers.
Yeah.
And it's really discouraging to watch because honestly, I've done the complete opposite. I went from being a negative piece of shit to now I'm like fucking unwavering positivity, like. And
I feel the happiest probably I've ever felt.
Oh, I'm definitely the happiest I've ever been.
Yeah.
And it's just going to continue to build. But once again, it's a constant intention. Like when I wake up, I'm like, we're going to have a great fucking day. That's something that me and my kid repeat actually.
Dude, I say it to Carter every day. I'm like, it's going to be a great day.
Man. I love it. Yeah. Yesterday morning, me and my kid are getting ready. We're fixing to leave. She's like, it's going to be a beautiful day. I'm like, it's going to be great. But also my kid, man, she goes around. Me and her mom were talking about this the other day because we still have a good relationship. We're friends. And we were talking about how Genevieve is just such a happy, positive person. But I've had that kid repeating fucking mantras for the past 4 years. Like, I'll say, I am strong. I am beautiful. I am smart. I am brave. So now she just does it on her own.
Yeah.
You know, like if she's like we're trying to get her to start riding her bike. She fell off and she just like is super hesitant now. She's scared of falling off again. But she'll start repeating it to herself. I don't have to say it. She's like, she'll get on her bike. She's like, starts breathing. She's like, I am brave. I'm beautiful. I am smart. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I don't know, man. I don't know how.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's true, dude. And it's all in our control.
Like, you can do that for everyone else though as well. Like, it doesn't have to be the fucking 4-year-old little girl. Like, you can put a positive message out there and everything seems really dark and shit like that. But that's something too that is just fucking absolutely ridiculous to me. Even when my gym was shut down, or even whenever, you know, $20,000 from the Arnold was potentially just fucked, or when my fucking relationship ended and all this shit, never once did I say things are fucking terrible. Like, I felt terrible, but even during all that shit, I was like, things could still be so much worse. But then I look, especially when COVID started happening, you know, the whole stay-at-home thing in North Carolina, and rest across the world. Oh my God, everything's so terrible. What the fuck are you talking about? You have fucking AC. You have your goddamn phone in your hand. Yeah. You're getting a goddamn stimulus check. Like, you still have food is now being, McDonald's is now delivering your fucking food to your house instead of you having to leave. Like, dude, what 100 years ago was the Great Depression and World War I and World War II. You don't know what the fuck hard is.
Yep.
And that's what's so ridiculous to me during this whole COVID thing was everything's so bad. What the fuck are you talking about? Life is fucking right.
It's all perspective, dude.
And this is coming from if a negative piece of shit like myself could fucking realize that. That was just the most mind-blowing thing to me. Whenever you get on social media and it's just everything's so bad, everything is fucking stupid, but it's not bad.
Yeah, it's all perspective, and it's just look, dude. In America, our poor people are fat. You know, like we have an abundance of everything.
Right, like we do have our own fucking problems, and I do hate it for a lot of people. But at the same time, it could be fucking worse.
So much worse. So much worse, man. And that goes back to the perspective we have of like, you've seen the darkness, so you appreciate the light.
That's what I was going to say as well.
Yeah.
Right.
It's all, you know, some of the people who I noticed were the least happy through COVID and everything were a lot of my, some friends, but just associates, people I knew who had like a really good life, you know, like,
and then their fucking luxuries get taken away.
Right. Exactly. It's because that differential between what you interpret as bad versus what you interpret as good for them was very different from me. Because again, like same as you, dude, I'm like, well, shit, man, I've got food in my belly, I've got electricity, I got running water, like
everything's fucking fine.
My kid is healthy, you know.
Might be a little more stressful from a business owner's perspective,
sure, but like you're gonna get through that, you know.
If you don't, I think that was a blessing for a lot of people. I think a lot of people that lost their business during COVID, I hate it for you, and I'm sure that was a very fucking fucked up period of your life. But I bet you your life is better now. For the most part, I bet you a lot of those people were, say, gym owners, dude. We saw that a lot in the fitness industry. Gyms got shut down for, 6 months or a year or whatever, and then people had to lose their gym. But a lot of those people, a lot of gym owners, they hate their fucking life because owning a gym is a lot worse than it originally came out to be. So they no longer have to work. They no longer have to have the gym that was actually a burden, but they were too stubborn to give it up. It was naturally taken away from them, from circumstances that were out of their control, and now their lives are probably better. They're doing something that they're more passionate about, like you with the bar thing. Perfect example of that. So if you still had your business and you guys could have potentially been fucked,
we probably would have been fucked.
Right. But at the same time, if that business would have went out, it would have sucked, but it would have been a blessing because it would have forced you to be a happier person. And the same shit we were talking about fucking 5 hours ago or whatever.
And maybe someone's sitting there right now, like, fucking easy for you to say asshole, but like, and it might still seem terrible now. Like, these things take time, So like, eventually you're going to reflect back and be like, that happened, and it forced me to reckon with the fact that I maybe wasn't as happy, and it made me pivot to do something else. And now look at where I am. Yeah. I think that sometimes it's the whole forest for the trees thing, and if I didn't have my daughter and everything else, we got fortunate. A private equity group came along, offered to buy all the bar locations, one fell swoop. And, we sold at the time, but that was because I was looking to get out of it. I was very, all those reasons we talked about. But had I not had my daughter, I probably wouldn't have, I would have been so stubborn,
You don't think you would have stopped?
Probably not. I mean, I would have either killed myself or ran myself into the ground with trying to grow the business. But then COVID would have hit and it would have all come crashing down. And then probably I would have eventually gotten to the point where I am now.
Yeah. I mean, like, it would have happened either way. And it would have been a blessing for you.
I wouldn't have, I guess my point is I wouldn't have like woken up one day and been like, oh, I am happy doing all this fucking bar shit. No. You know, eventually, if you're not happy, man, eventually it's inevitable.
I think that's something we started to touch on earlier. COVID forced a lot of people to deal with their shit. Mm-hmm. And you saw that across the board. It's kind of crazy how it happened. It was like almost a human consciousness type thing where across the fucking board, everyone you know is dealing with just shit. Yeah. And they're like, but now a lot of them are better people because of it.
Yeah.
I think that was a benefit of COVID as a whole. You know, a lot of it sucked and a lot of it still stupid and shit like that. But at the same time, it forced almost everyone I know to level up.
Yeah, for sure.
If they handled it properly. Now, if they had that urge to work on themselves and instead of doing it, they fucking drank themselves into a coma every night or whatever, then you're probably still fucked. But a lot of people, like, they used the opportunity and they were forced to like really just dial in.
Mm-hmm. Dude, I know people who made incredible like leaps in their business, who got in the best shape of their lives, like. And then I know people who, like what you said, they let it get to them. They drink themselves into a coma.
Gained fucking 200 pounds.
Yeah, and they're still all woe is me. You know, it's like that. It really showed the two different type of people that there are. You know, it really pulled the veil back to say, "Are you that
in every
motherfucker?"
Aspect, dude.
Yeah,
in every aspect.
And like you said, it just made us. It forced us to come to grips with who we really were.
Yeah,
or who we really are, and you know, if you didn't take advantage, quote unquote, of the opportunity, and you're that person who fucking drank yourself into a coma or ate a bunch of food and got real fat and, you know, like, it's not too late.
No.
Just learn from that though and say, okay, I can still get this train on the fucking track, but you got to stop feeling sorry for yourself and playing the victim.
And it's going to be easy to know if that was you or not based off if you have guilt in your body right now.
Yeah, you know, if you're hearing this guilty right now,
and you're feeling guilty.
Yeah,
it's time to get your shit together.
Yeah, man, absolutely.
And some of you are gonna be patting yourself on the back, like, "Fuck yeah, I did," and good for you.
Yeah.
And also the ones that didn't, you know, like, it was uncharted territory for a lot of us. You know what I mean? Like, you did what you thought was best, but once again, like, now's the time.
Yeah, and people deal with the fear of the unknown in different ways.
Well, that's fucking scary, man, especially nowadays whenever everything's predicted and we have just all these luxuries and shit to us. And as soon as one little thing, like you can't fucking go out to the bar, gets taken away from you and your life comes crumbling down. Once again, that was a fucking blessing.
Yeah.
Wait, dude. Fuck, I can't go out every weekend and drink and, you know, just fucking waste all my money on this shit. Like, I actually have to either drink at home or just not fucking drink. You know, I mean, I think a lot of people mentally had to deal with that when the social aspect of it. For me, like, I'm naturally a hermit, so I was like, cool, like, I'll just go hiking more. And I just went hiking and camping all the fucking time. And that was cool to me. But my girlfriend at the time, the fact that she wasn't able to go out and like socialize and shit, that really fucked with her. And I guess I saw it from two different perspectives because of that. And a lot of people, especially with the gym, you know, a lot of people, they use the gym as their outlet, and that sucked. But same thing, you know, you could have switched gears and just fucking went running or done anything, start doing the calisthenics and shit like that. Like, there was no excuse.
Big ass was doing burpees and shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
when's the last time you did burpees prior to that?
It was
well, you used to do CrossFit, right?
Yeah, 2013.
Okay, yeah, so it's been
I know exactly when it was.
Yeah.
Dread that day. No, dude, it's all so true. And again, it all is about your mindset and your perspective and how you approach things. Like, there's people who became multimillionaires over this past year. There's people who lost it all. There's people who got fat as fuck. There's people who got in great shape. And it was the same scenario for everyone. It's just how they dealt with it.
And those people were probably either had the victim mentality or they had the growth mindset.
Exactly.
And that's all there is to it, man.
That's it.
And that's why I go back to it, the like, in order, like, the most masculine thing that you can do is to have a positive fucking mindset.
I agree, man. Well, we've been jamming for shit, man, almost 3 hours now.
Holy fuck.
we can go ahead and wrap this bad boy up.
Yeah.
I always end it, and I misspoke earlier because what you said was a little different than how I always end things. So you said, like, what would you change if you could go back to it? So actually what I usually ask folks is, like, what is one piece of advice you have for young men age 18 to 22 today, or that you could go back and give to yourself advice at that age?
Read more books.
100%.
Read more. Stop reading the fucking bullshit. Which I think, like, fiction and stuff is okay, but at the same time, like, the number one thing that you can do for yourself is to read.
You read a lot?
Oh, dude, nonstop.
Yeah.
Not nonstop. That's a fucking lie. It makes me sound like some, like, way better than I really am. But I at least read 20 minutes every day. And if I'm in the car,
Nice.
I'm listening to Audible books. And if I get burned down on Audible, I'll turn on, like, a podcast that I could benefit from. But it kind of goes back to confidence and everything like that. It is impossible to read something and not feel more confident. So if there's something that you are lacking in, if it's fucking relationships or fitness or anything of the sort, every problem that I've ever had was solved by reading.
Love it.
You know, and we live in an age where we just have unlimited knowledge at our fingertips. Get on fucking YouTube, go to Amazon, get the book, you know, whatever you need, go to Google and just type in and read blog posts. There is absolutely no reason for you to not be bettering yourself in something that you're not confident in. You know, so 100% read more books. And I've always had that mindset. Well, I remember being like middle school and I'm like, I need to read more, but I didn't fucking do it. And I'm kicking myself in the ass. Yeah. You know, like I didn't have enough discipline to set 20 minutes in the morning. And that's usually that's always when I do it. Actually, I wake up, I read, because if I can read that 20 minutes, it's done before life gets fucking chaotic and stuff. I have that 20 minutes in the morning.
See, I like reading right before bed.
Do you?
Because then I also take it with me into my
subconscious.
Yeah,
that's smart as well. So, I usually by that point I'm just fucking exhausted.
Yeah,
but it does help you go to sleep as well.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, sometimes it's 5 pages.
Like
it just and I read different times throughout the day too. Like I read a lot as well, which is why I was because I usually average like a book a month. It's like
that's what I try to do.
About what I try, and I do Audible and stuff too. But yeah, I mean, I think that sometimes we as people who do read, you kind of take for granted the fact that a lot of people have like never read a book.
Yeah, dude. You know? Once again, go back 100 years. Reading wasn't something that a lot of people knew how to do.
Right.
You know, it was like upper class, and now everyone has the opportunity. So like take advantage of it. Even with like Instagram and social media. Once again, it's the way that you use it. Mm-hmm. So if you're following like pages that teach you, there's plenty of Instagram pages where like you can learn stuff, you know, either if it's business or history or anything of the sort. And YouTube, that's actually been my advice lately. I've never been a big YouTube person up until like the past few months.
I love it, dude.
But it's because I can actually watch shit that fucking betters me. Like, and their algorithm is so goddamn good that I get on there. I'm like, holy fuck. But when I watch those fucking videos, dude, it's never shit that doesn't benefit me, because once again, I only use it for a certain reason. So I get on there. It's like, well, fuck, I just watched this 15-minute video. But at the same time, I wasn't just aimlessly scrolling. I just learned something beneficial for myself.
Yeah, I have no issues with watching like educational YouTube videos and stuff. And you made a good point, and we can end it on this. Like, we do have the knowledge of the world at our fingertips today.
Yeah.
And more people than ever don't take advantage of that.
Well, reading is down less than ever. You know what I mean? I feel like we maxed out maybe
insane,
20 minutes.
Right?
20 years ago, I think, was probably like the high of everyone like mostly read. And now it's like you ask the average American or man or whatever, it's like, how many books do you read? Especially men, dude. Men are fucking terrible about it, which is absolutely ridiculous to me. Once again, level up physically, level up mentally. Mm-hmm. You have a responsibility to fucking read. Like, you should.
Reading, and I think that it has that connotation of, it's a nerdy thing. Reading makes you more of a fucking man.
Fuck yeah. Read about shit that you're not confident in. The more confident you are, the more fucking masculine you are. Yeah. Like, the best way to get confident is one, through action. But if you don't know how to take action yet, open up the fucking book, you know. So,
and it's like you said, dude, it's all stuff that we know. Like, you should be doing it.
Well, it's discipline, man. Yeah. And that's why, I mean, like, I don't like people putting it at the end of the day unless you actually have enough discipline to read at the end of the day. But for me, I know that I don't. Yeah. Like, if I put it off till the end of the day.
You got the self-awareness.
Right, yeah. It's like, I know that if I'm going to do this, I'm not going to do it at noon. Sometimes I will, like, I try to break it up. I'll read in the morning. I'll read again around 9 in the morning before I get into like deep work. And then I'll read again. Maybe if I'm lucky, I'll read in the afternoon. But usually at 5 in the morning and 9 o'clock.
Well, one easy thing for me and I know you said we're going to wrap up. One easy thing though, and you mentioned Audible. Like anytime I'm driving, I don't really listen to music. No. I listen to music like, because I do think music is important too.
Oh yeah,
and I love music, but like if I'm driving, that for me is an excellent time to just passively absorb information. So I do Audible books.
That or just be present, man.
Yeah, that too.
You know, like it's so hard for us to be present nowadays because of all the distractions. Well, if you're driving, hopefully you're not on your phone unless you have a fucking Tesla or something, but use that opportunity to use it as an opportunity to be present. That was something, dude, that like I did not know the importance of until the past year is being present. Use driving. If you're not going to listen to an Audible book or educational podcast or something, just use to be fucking present. Use that as kind of a form of meditation to get your goddamn thoughts right. Instead of distracting yourself with music or anything of the sort, just fucking drive and just think about shit while you're driving.
Yeah. Well, that comes back to like facing yourself. You know, being comfortable alone with just yourself.
That's hard, man, and it's getting harder for most people.
Yeah. I love it, man. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
I think tons of value in this. I really appreciate you opening up about all the different stuff we talked about. I think it's really important for guys, especially to know that it's okay to be vulnerable with these kinds of emotions and things like that.
Well, I think they're worried about people judging them.
Right.
And at the end of the day, fuck them.
Yeah.
If someone judges you because of that, fuck them. Like they're worthless to you.
Exactly. Put it perfectly. So, Andy Lewis with Norse Fitness, Norse Compound, the Norse Mentality. I appreciate it, brother. Absolute pleasure.
Absolutely. Talk to you guys later.
Whoa. Fucking 3 hours.